Live.
Yes, yes. Welcome in to McKernan Show podcast. Longo Big Studios. Timothy Michael McKernan, Jackson Bennett Burkett. Yeah, it's 24 years since Ricky Prohl caught that ball. January 23rd, 2024. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Jackson's having a libation. Mm-hmm. I'm seducing you with my voice. Do you feel a tingle? It's rhetorical. Is that what you do?
I'm having a lime Ricky.
Oh, yeah, no.
Delicious.
Scrolling the TMA fan page because I made a Facebook post about us going live. I said it would be around 11:30. Doug Vaughn of News 4, St. Louis, had a sound story at 10:30. And Doug gave his money's worth there, I would say. Probably got an hour and 15 minutes in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So that's why we were a little late here. But we are up on the YouTube channel every day. It seems like every business day, Jackson. The streak continues. Here we are on January 23rd.
No denying the streak.
Yeah, I mean, now at this point, people have to take it seriously. Got some great emails. I love what's going on with it. I guess people are into it. That's wonderful. I guess here's what I'm thinking. You want to know what I'm thinking?
I always do.
I want to see how the first month goes. We will get to next Thursday and Friday before you're traveling. Mm-hmm. And then I'll assess on the daily thing.
All right.
What do you think? You tell me what you think.
I think once the weather gets warmer, I could see us being touch and go with the
I agree with that. I agree with that.
You know, if there's like you could play here at 1 o'clock and it's like, it'd be tight. You know, there could be situations where we can and situations where we might not want to.
Yeah.
But I think doing it while we can do it, like we have the capability and time to do it, is a benefit. So even if we don't...
And I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's the key too. Very much enjoy doing it. So while we can and the weather sucks and we're going to be inside anyways, why not just talk it over?
With the people. And they're in there in the YouTube chat. And, of course, it's a podcast, so you can listen to it anytime you would like. It's the Tim McKernan Show podcast. Subscribe to it. It is brought to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. He's my insurance agent, and he's online at carltoninsurance.net. This podcast is brought to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. It's also brought to you by McKernan of Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Jackson, you work with him. And I'm a fan of his. What's going on there?
I'm a huge fan of his. Like, I really do look forward. About once a year, I have a conversation with McKernan. And if I wanted to have it, I have more conversations. He comes into the studio. But about me personally, I have 1 or 2 meetings a year talking about stuff. But I know if I need to talk to him about something in terms of my financial future that's more urgent, more pressing, I know I can get on the phone with him and have a great conversation with him, feeling better when I get off the phone than when I get on it, just feeling better about life in general. Because finances and life are tied together. Like, happiness and your finances are always going to be interconnected. And McKernan understands that balance better than anybody. That's why I love working with him. His communication skills are top-notch, on top of a plethora of financial knowledge. That's why I love working with him. His
address is evergreenstl.com. The number is 314-889-0503. We also are presented to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota, online at stlouisacura.com. And also altontoyota.com. Plus, there's a secret number to contact the people in charge, and that number is the following, 314-252-0029. And you text it, and I would say within seconds you're going to get a reply. I really mean that. And then also, we have Design Air Heating and Cooling online at designairservice.com, the great Seth Goldcamp. I'm a client, and Doug's a client. And I guess they came out to Iggy's place, and so now Iggy's a client.
My parents are proud clients of Design Air Heating and Cooling.
DesignAirService.com is how you can work with the great Seth Goldcamp. And our studio sponsor, as I referenced at the outset, is Longo Biggs. Longo Biggs is online at longobigs.com. That's CD Longo and Doug Biggs. They're really good people. They're big fans, and they want to play in the Fan Page Club Championship.
Hell yeah.
April 28th, whatever the Sunday is in the last Sunday of the month of April.
Yeah, can't wait.
Well,
it was really windy last year, if you remember.
I don't remember my first round match last year.
I played with you. It was you and me. We went off first.
Andy Hanselman, I think, is who I played.
That's who you played. You played Andy Hanselman. Yep.
Yeah. I think I was down 3 at the turn in both my matches.
Yeah. You had a late comeback in that one. I was playing Jakey Big Mistakey once again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Comfortable pairing.
Great. Oh, outstanding pairing.
I'm a big fan of comfortable pairings. All right, I don't. This might be the only one we have today.
I like that. That usually means it's a great question.
It is, and it comes from Timmy Recaps, who I told him he's a QFTA Hall of Famer.
Yeah, totally.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Now, what I noticed about it when I got done reading it this morning at around 6 a.m., he sent it last night at 11:42, and I was deep in REM sleep at 11:42. I went to bed last night at 9:05.
Wow. Wow. Boy.
My wife, she wants it bad. She said, "Are we going to watch a show or are you going to bed?" I said, "Listen, woman."
Yeah.
And I was watching The Last Dance for some reason. I have no idea. Rewatching The Last Dance.
Was it on TV or did you turn it on a streaming service?
I think I was just scrolling through Netflix to have something while I read, kind of like his background. This was earlier in the day. And I said, "I'm out."
Yeah.
And I assume out came the Hitachi Magic Wand, to be my assumption. I don't know. I was in deep sleep immediately. I can show you my Whoop stats
So
if you want.
asleep at 9:05. That's
Fuck you. You're killing me with this shit. But if you want to hear my Whoop stats, I'll do it.
You brought it up.
9:03 to 5:46. 5:46
Jeez.
is late for me, by the way. And I had 2 hours and 1 minute of REM sleep and 2 hours and 5 minutes of deep sleep.
Oh boy.
So
We might be here for 3
that
hours.
combined with the Timmy Recaps is the perfect storm. The thing that is going to keep you from being here until 5 p.m. is the heat in the studio. I said to Jackson and Peter Repp of Sound Story were in here when I got in here. I said, "We've been here for 25 months. I really feel pretty good about this. I don't think I've complained in 25 months. Now, maybe somebody in the building would say otherwise, but I really have been cognizant of that. We have 2 tenets. At least I try to teach 2 tenets on TMA. What are those tenets, Jackson?
Fly under the radar, make money.
That's it. That's it. And I would tell you that in any business.
Yeah.
But on this one, I'm like, okay, it's getting to the point now in the studio where it's so hot. It's like they're smoking us out of our holes. And then we found out the famous thermostat, and I know not many people watch on YouTube, but if you are watching on YouTube, it turns out it doesn't. It's a prop.
It's essentially a Fisher Price play kitchen.
The real control panel is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it is now. It's got to be close to 80 degrees in the studio, and we're both wearing hoodies. So anyway, that'll probably keep us from going. And plus, I got some things. Let me see. Okay, some things I need to tend to. So with that said, Timmy Recaps. Jackson, it's the Tim McKernan Show podcast. QFTA. Strap in, he writes. It's lengthy, but I think it might provide the go-go juice. You like that? The go-go juice? I like that.
Wasn't Go Juice what they said in Mad Max? That's what gas was called. I feel like it was called Go Juice.
It says go-go juice. So this is Belinda Carlisle? Is that Jane Weidman or Jane Weidman? Weidman?
I don't have the capabilities of looking stuff up at the moment, so you're going to be on your own there, sailor.
And then I think the drummer was banging the bassist. Kind of like Culture Club, except these were 2 women.
We're definitely going 3 hours.
And the thing about his email, I think, is I don't think there's a question.
Oh, perfect.
But I mean, I only read it once, but
All
it's
right.
good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Strap in. It's lengthy, but I think it might provide the go-go juice to get you rambling passionately, hopefully. Listen to an old Rick Glassman podcast. I'm not familiar with Rick Glassman. Let me type him in. I know you don't have the capability.
I guess I can do it on my phone.
But he's got to be well known.
Rick Glass.
Is an American actor and comedian. Glassman starred in the role of Bursky on the NBC sitcom Undateable and wrote, directed, and starred in the NBC-produced web series spin-off The Sixth Lead. He's from Shaker Heights.
Okay. Oh, he played Harold Ramis in A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which was about National Lampoon.
Oh, I was about to say, kind of has a similar look. All right, with that all said, back to the email. Ooh, I think they just turned the air on. We could be here for 3 hours. Listen to an old Rick Glassman podcast last night where he interviewed Dax Shepard, and he, Rick, asked him, Dax, if he could talk about his move to Spotify exclusive and his numbers. Dax mentioned he'd say anything off-stream, but on-stream he was hesitant to get too specific because one could extrapolate his numbers and relate it directly to his revenue, and that gave him pause. Not because of shame or success guilt, but because he is hyper-aware that people hate rich people talking about money. Jackson's already nodding. He's thinking of Balloon Party. He went on to say that it's a strange paradox in our country that we all hold on to this American dream that we too can be wealthy if we work hard enough and be blessed with just a dash of luck on our side. Yet, we chastise and criticize people when it happens to them. We hate seeing the wealthy drive Bentleys, prospering during COVID with a smile on a yacht and owning dozens of homes, but damn it if we don't want it and strive for it ourselves. He noted very few people have been able to get filthy rich and have their fans and general public continue to root and cheer their success. He used Howard Stern as an example, saying he thinks he's in that bucket of people who got filthy rich with people rooting for him because he was scrappy, he was willing to get fired from wherever to stay true to his ideas, and eventually he took a calculated risk on a new thing and then added a bunch of commas to his net worth. They also chatted about the pros and cons of having a co-host. Dax has money. You ever listen to Dax's show? I know it's super popular.
Armchair Expert, I think.
Never listened to it.
Yeah, I've never. My sister loves it.
Okay. Is it geared toward females?
No.
Okay. Dax has Monica, who is a soft-spoken woman that went from being their part-time babysitter to full-time nanny to now business partner, most notably his co-host. He said the overwhelming pro is by the mere fact of her being his sidekick, he's able to somehow sidestep the negative ramifications from the court of public opinion and media outrage that typically come with a rich, opinionated alpha white dude voicing less popular opinions and taboo convictions, of which Dax has many. He acknowledged it could be as simple as having another voice in the room to share a different perspective, but he was adamant that having a non-white male as his podcasting host likely plays a large part. Oddly enough, his reference to Howard Stern earlier about wealth had me connecting Robin Quivers to Howard Stern with Monica to Dax. Somehow Stern was able to get away with a lot more by having Robin as his co-pilot, as opposed to if it were just Howard Stern driving solo. There's no way to quantify it, but it isn't a big stretch in my mind to say that Robin gave Stern a shield or safety blanket of sorts. Not a question and perhaps not a linear thought, but thought something in that word salad might get you and Jackson going. Thanks and continued success. Jackson, that's from maybe first ballot QFTA Hall of Famer, and what a ceremony it's going to be when we do have the QFTA Hall of Fame. Timmy recaps. Jackson, I'm just going to step aside and let you respond.
I'm kind of struggling for words because, like, I don't know. I guess like those are just like observations. Like I don't really know like what the topic is. Like people don't like the thing with the rich people thing is like it's tough to be like I don't know like in terms of like Stern, like that's a guy who started something and made a bunch of money doing it. Like that's people I don't think are going to be.
Now, I feel like, but by the way, on that, specific to that, I don't know, and obviously this was sent in via email, so I don't know, I can't interact directly on the, unless in the off chance Timmy recaps would be in the YouTube chat, and I just see a pastry chef named Messman talking it over with Brad, White Boy Stinky Finger, and Hunchback of Von Castle at the moment. But I don't feel like, I feel like Stern was never popular with a certain portion of the population anyway. And then his hardcore listeners, I feel like, who loved him in the 80s and 90s and a portion of the aughts, now don't like him. And one of the big criticisms is Howard has become the exact type of broadcaster he used to shit on. That's what I feel like's going on. I know personally, I only listened to that show for interviews. But at this point, that's in part a reflection of not really being amused by the non-interviews. It's also, if this were 2005, I probably still would be listening. But now because I can listen to podcasts, like I can't wait to listen to certain podcasts when I'm driving or hitting balls or whatever the case might be. So with that said, my point being, I'm not sure Stern has navigated that. I think he might be hated, but I don't know if his hatred is because of his wealth, because he was wealthy well before he went to Sirius XM. It's because of the style of show and how he now does what some perceive or call to be kind of Hollywood ass-kissing interviews. Even though I don't see them as such, I guess those who loved him felt like he would ask questions and maybe he was doing it and they loved it to like kind of make famous people uncomfortable. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure. And I don't really have the greatest reference point because as much as I do enjoy Stern, I don't listen almost any time ever. So I don't really have a great grasp on that. The whole question reminded me of a great moment in Jamie Foxx's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Jamie Farr from MASH.
The great Jamie Foxx.
Django.
Django.
Should have been Best Picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Obviously, you don't agree. I mean,
Django's
let me just fold it down here.
Django's my 4th or 5th favorite movie of all time. So trust me, I'm on board with that. I just don't remember what won that year. 2012.
Might have been the same year as Whiplash.
No, 2012 was Argo.
Argo. Do you agree with that?
No, Django's much better. But Django's a movie that would never, ever, 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 ever win Best Picture. Either way.
Yep.
Jamie Foxx was talking to Jerry Seinfeld. He was like, I started getting like booed and bombing in comedy for the first time in my career when I started making rich jokes. He was like, I started making rich people jokes and people hated that. And he would bomb.
No, what do you mean? Like he was making fun of rich people?
No. He was making jokes that only rich people would find funny. He's like, I just got the new Lexus or I got the new Range Rover and, boy, these things are He was like making hammy jokes about it, but he was like, that's when I started bombing. And he's like, when I won the Oscar for Ray, he was like, I almost didn't want it because I didn't want to like lose my like grounding. Like I didn't want to lose like having my feet on the ground and being a part of like what his consumer base is like normal people. So I always find that interesting of like how you balance like being the everyman, like Larry David, who makes a hilarious
Who's a billionaire.
Yeah, who's literally like so many problems in Curb Your Enthusiasm could be solved if Larry would just throw money at it, but that's not how he is. And it's still fucking funny, even though everyone is hyper aware that Larry David is unbelievably rich. It's still hilarious. And so I find that to be a tough balance where like you just can't like be like an asshole about it, I feel like. Like I don't think people are inherently upset that someone just has money. It's how they conduct themselves after they have money compared to when they didn't have money, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just don't want to be that arrogant guy or like the guy who's like, okay, you guys are broke. Why would I listen to you? Like that's never going to work.
You guys are like somebody who has money.
Like someone getting upset and being like, oh, I don't care what you broke ass motherfuckers have to say to me. Like I'm rich. Like that's just not going to play well unless you're in like a rap song. Then it's fine. Like that will work. There's a place for it. But most of the time, that's just not going to play well.
Right.
And understandably so. So I don't think people have an inherent disdain for someone with money. It's how they act with money. Now, there's obvious exceptions to that, and there's exceptions based on how you earn the money. Like the wealth gap in this country is unbelievable. And if you're doing so because you're either a business owner who's made a ton of money because employees have done a ton of work and helped build you this business, but you're the one with $8 billion in the bank and you pay your employees nothing. Yeah, people are not going to look upon that kindly. But if you're Howard Stern, who made a bunch of money because his product was deemed very marketable by the market, well, that's different. I feel like that's different. And again, it's how you act once you get the money. If you're that asshole who's always like flexing on Instagram of pictures of your Lamborghini in your wonderful house, people might react differently than if you're still very humble.
I think those are wonderful observations. Right out of the gate. Manchild79 is in the YouTube chat. I'm a Manchild79 lemming. And he says, I fucks with recaps heavy, but did I miss a question in there? That's the thing. I acknowledge he acknowledged that there isn't a question in there, but he is correct. It's like a fire starter.
Yeah.
As far as the observation, I've never listened, as we both said, to Dax's podcast. I guess this isn't Dax's podcast, though. It's Rick Glassman, so I might try to find that section of that conversation to hear it, because I've talked about this, I think probably more on QFTA, because I wouldn't get into it on TMA. You just kind of know there are certain topics. It's interesting. Do you know that too? Now that, since we do all three shows together, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's certain topics
there's a TMA topic without question. There's plenty of those.
Yeah, anything really falls in that category.
Right. Then there's definitely QFTA topics, which this one would be.
Totally.
I wouldn't bother with this one on TMA, and obviously not Balloon Party. And then there's certain Balloon Party topics that You know what I mean?
It's
kind of nice. If I were to like doing the 3 of the same shows, I don't know how I'd feel about
right.
that.
It's square and rectangle, like a rectangle.
Square and
All
rectangle.
rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles. Or I might have that backwards. But like every topic can be a TMA topic for the most part. There's obvious exceptions.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, there are plenty of things I would never talk. I would because if I know I need a wide berth,
Right. Right. But it
not a chance.
Right, but it like wouldn't sound weird if we talked about it on TMA. Whereas like if we brought like some of the dumb shit we talk about on TMA, the Bloom Party, would be like,
There's a portion of the audience with TMA now that just wants nothing but like, finger me.
Yeah, right. No, I get that.
So that's fine,
Might be this title. Finger me. See how that plays in the SEO.
Oh my God! Hold on a sec. I see Timmy Recaps has just sent a follow-up.
Nice.
Breaking
Wow,
news. I just, on the corner of my eye on my what is it, a laptop?
Yeah, this guy's omnipotent.
Let's see. It's in the last 45 minutes of the podcast, homie. And then he says, "Sup, man, child."
Wow.
So God bless.
The benefit of doing it live.
Live listening. There you go. Yeah, there it is. Never let me say when I blow up my career on YouTube at some point. Today might be the day.
Yeah.
That there was no upside to doing this live on YouTube, as we have 35 people watching. I mean, my God, with numbers like that. So, with that said, and I appreciate people listening via the podcast. It's great to have it on YouTube. I do like having it on YouTube. Although we're not doing the social media. Eventually we're going to. Did I say this on air, or was this all off air? The TJ Weber, who used to do the show with Weezer and the Plowhawk on 920, probably when you were in high school.
First pitch, I remember listening to it on my way to work.
It was a good show. It was
great.
It really was.
Plowsy brought great WNBA takes.
Clip that
He was really high in the Phoenix Mercury.
Has let us know that we can go Instagram Live and TikTok, but you were making the observation that some of the content on this might not play on TikTok.
Right.
Would it play on Instagram Live?
I think Instagram is a little more loose with like
not according to Lana Rhodes.
Words you can say. Well, yeah. Worst case we get kicked off, we just cry.
That is true. Let me see
fall
what
into
else we
Tampa
got.
Bay.
People are lazy. It's can sneak up on you. People are lazy. It's easier to hate the rich who worked hard than work hard yourself. That's from the Hunchback of Von Castle. Is that a good populist take, Jackson?
That's such asinine. Like, you think someone who is a single mother with 3 jobs and 3 kids isn't working their ass off, but they can't because the situation that they're in? Like,
I fucks with Hunchback of Von Castle heavy, but I disagree with it.
Yeah,
I think that's such a,
Yeah,
I just that's a very like Tucker Carlson.
Right, it's unfounded and it's easy narrative.
I think there is truth.
Sure,
there is without question truth.
Sure,
but just I can speak firsthand within the first month of our first son, and I'm sitting there with my wife going, I can't imagine if what a single mother with multiple children who's working multiple jobs. She's working her ass off.
Yeah.
You think, well, she should be more responsible. And then it goes into that
right.
kind of conversation.
Their kid has diabetes.
I just really, so much of it is hard work absolutely plays a role in it.
No doubt.
And I actually would tell you, and I'm going to stay on this topic because I love the email, but hard work may not necessarily lead to an increase in income in that job. But I would imagine, and oftentimes, not across the board, but then somebody observes the person's attitude, such as yourself, and hard work, such as yourself, and goes, okay, I want that, because I know it isn't the skill that the person has. It's those, in my opinion, unteachable traits, attitude, work ethic, that I want as part of my business, and then you may get rewarded. Like, you can go make a bunch of money not anywhere because medical and legal and counting and certain things that
right.
are specific. But a great attitude and work ethic travels.
That was the best piece of compliment I had ever gotten up until working with TMA. It was a summer job in Columbia. I was working at a country club where I was doing like events and bartending and like weddings and stuff, just working in the summer. And the guy who was in charge of it all, immigrant guy who had worked his balls off, like every day was in there 15 hours, one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen. He ran the whole thing. I'll give his name's CK, wonderful human being. He said, he looked at me after a whole summer working, he said, no matter what you do, if you bring that same work ethic and attitude you bring here, you'll be successful in anything you do.
CK's right on target.
And I was like, that is, because I respected the shit out of it, because he's like the perfect manager where he'll do anything that he asks of you, he'll be the first one to do it and do it with you. I can't respect that anymore out of a person in charge of something. Like, if you're going to ask me to do something, I expect you to be able to do it and should do it too. And he would exemplified that, and that was a very kind thing of him to say.
CK, if you're listening, send in an email like Timmy Recaps did to answer questions throughout. Let's see what else we got. White Boy Stinky Finger says, I like the diversity between the three shows.
Me too.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely do. This just is one where I can expound, I suppose, so I feel most comfortable here. And it probably is the topics that stimulate me, honestly, at this point in my career and life. And you do let me tell you something. What you did today with Balloon Party on a day when, God almighty, it's rough if you're like doing sports.
Right.
You got it going.
Thank you.
You got it going. That isn't an easy thing. Hunchback of All Castles back. He said, I also blame the media. Hate sells. Never see a TV show with a nice guy who works hard, becomes successful. It's the gangster or drug dealer who becomes rich. Absolutely, people get in a situation where they can escape poverty, but I feel some people who are bitching on social media lack the self-awareness they could better themselves instead of tweeting.
Yes. But you can't make blanket statements. And on the TV show thing, like the anti-hero thing has kind of fallen off. The most popular shows this year were Ted Lasso, which is a nice guy, a guy with great moral compass, becoming successful, and The Bear, another example of someone stepping up after a massive tragedy and stepping up into a situation like that. So the anti-hero thing has kind of...
You think so? Is that right? You think it's coming to an end? Really?
To an extent. I mean, they're still going to be out there, but...
Well, you would know. This isn't me challenging you per se, although I'm happy to. I don't know. I mean, right. I'm in the midst of watching Peaky Blinders, and I feel like that's...
Be a prime, but that was 2014 or earlier is when that...
But it ended.
It ended
last year?
It ended, you know,
okay.
That's the thing. Like,
did it end because it was falling off?
No. I just I love shows that understand when to drop off. And Succession is an example of kind of the anti-hero, the white-collar anti-hero, you know?
Another thing that leads to success, this is from Wedding Tackle, is great interpersonal skills. Communication skills are so valuable as a pillar of success, so valuable as a pillar. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. As a pillar of success. Yeah, I would agree with that. I sent a pretty banger email. That's from Alexander Colton. Well, I mean, I believe it is. Listen, what's happening with doing QFTA Daily is we're getting a bunch of them. And what I've been trying to do is going, would it be condescending order? Descending order?
Condescending order would be like when I do Balloon Party. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. So I've caught up to Wednesday, January 10th. But Timmy Recaps, I know. But Timmy Recaps, he sent in that, and I happened to read it this morning. I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
He's a made man.
Yeah, he is. Because he could, not that he's looking to do it, but he could produce here because he gets the shit that gets me going, and I think he's legitimately interested in this kind of stuff. So with that all said, I've made the observation before in a separate podcast about what I feel like, but maybe I think it is not fair because I've only lived really in, I guess, 3 cities, like lived there. And even Little Rock, it's tough to like count it because I was only there 7-8 months. And then Columbia, Missouri, and that's a college experience. It's like being a Columbia resident. So I've really only lived in St. Louis. With that said, I feel comfortable. I guess I can say I've lived in Jupiter when you combine all the time there, and I lived there for 6 months in 2021. That certainly would be an opposite of St. Louis situation. But I feel like the opulence of Palm Beach, as in the island, or Miami, some parts of Lauderdale, like a certain part of Lauderdale with the boats, that's otherworldly. That's like top 0.01% stuff, maybe 0.01%.
Yeah.
So that's different than like somebody who's making, I don't even know, or somebody who has a net worth of, I don't know, 5 million? Because 5 million is very good.
Yeah.
but it's not, I'm living on Palm Beach in a $25 million home.
Right. Whenever you can like live off the interest, I feel like that's like,
And that's $5 million, actually.
Okay.
Assuming that you're not, you know, going, take your pick of whatever.
yeah, vice.
Yeah. So, with that said, I think that there is, and I liked this term that he used with regard to what Dak said, success guilt or shame. I think that goes on in St. Louis, and I don't know why. Now, again, it's not like I've lived in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and Seattle, but I really, and I don't know what it's about. I suppose I could like extrapolate from my theory, which may be on a shaky foundation. But I think unlike those places, so many of the members of the population in their 20s, 30s, and 40s grew up here. And therefore, if someone sees them going from, like we have a caste system here, a lot of it is built on either your neighborhood, your municipality, or in my case, neighborhood, growing up in the city, for your county, municipality, and then high school, which, you know, it is a running joke in St. Louis, the high school thing, but for as much time as I've spent in these other places, which isn't much, the high school thing doesn't come up. It's not even really, it's essentially, oh, are you going to send them to private? Oh, you're going to go, you live here, so you're going to be going there. It's that simple, because the private school prominence is so low. Yeah. Again, this is St. Louis versus talking this area of South Florida. So with that all established, I don't know why. Like, let me put it this way. Let's say, and I don't know who the person would be realistically, but let's say another person who is in our world in our category of industry, whatever this is, local broadcasting, I guess would be the best, local broadcasting / podcasting. And for whatever reason, their contract comp package was made public. And it was larger than what I am making. I'd be like, fuck yeah. I mean, that's like, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't.
Right. It means it's possible.
Well, it means it's possible. It also means that the bar's been raised.
Yeah. Market price has been set.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So in St. Louis, now I personally think, flashing with a car is hack, but at the same time, if like you really care about a car, like that's really like your thing, then God bless.
Right.
But, I've heard tell, and I'm not going to name the location, although it probably won't be tough. A buddy of mine who doesn't live here, used to live here, was in town, and I don't even know how we got on the topic. It's great. He's a QFTA listener too, so this might be good amusement. And he goes, my buddy got a divorce, and then he got a new car. It's a nice car. It's like a Range Rover or something like that. And he was stunned by how many people came up to him, because they're all kind of divorcees or single. And we're aware of, and then he got, what are the things that you get on your teeth?
Veneers?
Thank you. And it just was like, guns were up and they were all out. And I'm like, oh God, fuck. Like on the off chance I was thinking about fucking around. Oh my God, if that's the world. And I know it's like the same single / divorced people in St. Louis are like, it's like a pool, like 500, just fuck each other.
Yeah.
Go to the same place.
Catch and release.
Whew. Oh, I'm just like, oh God, this is like a cautionary tale. She's hot, but here's your life if you do it. Yeah. Here's your life if you do it. Plus, there goes half of your income and half of your net worth. And there go your kids on the weeknights. Oh, and I'm like, oh my God, what and like, but that's the game that and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, like going to the 905 thing.
Oh my God.
It's in the rearview mirror.
Shook me to my core that, but if somebody really is into that and it's a genuine thing and it's not I've got to.
Right, ball.
Yes. I mean, that makes me ill, but it doesn't make me ill because the person has made money or a questionable consumer decision as far as an investment goes. It makes me ill that someone would feel like they need to do that because then, kind of like social media brags, it's filling a void. Doesn't affect me in the slightest, but then I feel badly for the person if I even become aware of it. And I don't know this person. This was a story that a friend of mine was telling me about a friend of his and how kind of like this person's not from St. Louis. Well, he's from St. Louis but doesn't live here, and it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like sad when like that matters, and like how small towny that is, that people would even know and then be aware, and that you feel like you need to get a certain car and veneers. Is that a I don't even know about it.
Pete Davidson has veneers.
Oh, they're right.
Honestly, if I won the lottery, one of the first
What do they? I have no idea what they cost.
Probably if you wanted to get all the ones that people could see done, I'd bet it's 120 grand.
No way.
Oh yeah, dude. They're custom making teeth for you. Yeah, honestly, if I won the lottery, like one of the first things I would do is get veneers.
Is that right? I didn't know anything about this.
I'm self-conscious about my teeth.
Okay.
So I would do that. But like they're probably three or four grand
no
a piece.
idea.
And if you're getting 30 of them, if you're getting all of them, at 32 teeth, yeah, it's gonna. But I don't think you would need like your back molars.
Right.
Who the shit
Right.
fucking cares about that? But it's also very like you better get it done right, so you better pay, because if not, you're gonna have little nubbins for teeth. You should look up pictures of like mid-veneer procedure.
I'm gonna pass.
They look like horror movie characters because they shave your teeth.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think,
and they give you like fake ones for a little bit. Pete Davidson did an interview once in between getting his veneers done, and he looks like a cartoon character with how big his teeth are. And he was really self-conscious about it. It's a really funny interview.
Oh, I didn't know. This is educational for me.
Veneers are and it's more so for like people who are going to be like on camera. Like it's understandable, like if you're going to be a star in Hollywood, that you're going to get veneers. But that like actually, in my opinion, like if you're going to be in an old-timey movie and you have perfect teeth, it doesn't make much sense.
Is that right? I'm learning so much.
But you can get false teeth for that shit too.
Let's see. White Boy Stinky Finger says people will fly out of the country to have it done, and I've seen some god-awful results.
Yes.
I am amazed by this.
Yeah, if you're trying to get discount veneers, don't buy veneers. Like, make sure you got the best person possible if you're going to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have fucked up teeth.
Man, consider me informed here on the process. All right, so with that all said, let me get back. I got to stay on the email. I'm doing a bad job here. So if we agree with the premises here, I agree with the premise of Dax Shepard's observation, and Timmy recaps his email me to let me know to go to about 45 minutes. Super helpful. Right when I head back home, I'm going to go right there and listen to it. Can't wait to hear it. And to restate, because we've been going for how long now? About 25 minutes.
37.
God damn it. That people do not like the idea. He's hyper aware that people hate rich people talking about money. He went on to say that it's a strange paradox in our country that we all hold on to this American dream that we too can be wealthy if we work hard enough and be blessed with just a dash of luck on our side. Yet we chastise and criticize people when it happens to them. Do you agree with that premise?
Yes and no. And that's a terrible answer, but it's my answer, because as much as like that is the idealized American dream, that you can do anything and you can make, like if you work hard enough, you can make money. But we've seen that to just not be like, if that was the case, we wouldn't have 1% of the population have more than 80% of the wealth. Like that's just kind of where I'm at. You can you can be wealthy to a certain extent, but if you want the crazy money, it's just not necessarily obtainable for someone who's born in certain situations. Like it's just not obtainable.
No matter how hard you work. But that's having a separate conversation. His premise is that people hate rich people talking about money.
Yes, agree. Like the mainstream population. Like there might be a sect of people who like enjoy like talks about money and shit like that, but for the main population, like your favorite comedian or actor, you don't necessarily want to hear them having their rich people conversations.
And then secondarily, couldn't agree more with this, and I'm going to go into a story here, and I don't think it's a story that I have told before, but maybe I have, and somebody will immediately jump and let me know that I have. They also chatted about the pros and cons of having a co-host. Dax has Monica, who is a soft-spoken woman who went from being their part-time babysitter to full-time nanny to now business partner, most notably as co-host. He said the overwhelming pro is the mere fact of her being his sidekick. He's able to somehow sidestep the negative ramifications from the court of public opinion and media outrage that typically comes with a rich, opinionated alpha white dude voicing less popular opinions and taboo convictions, of which Dax has many. He acknowledged it could be as simple as having another voice in the room to share a different perspective, but he was adamant that having a non-white male as his podcasting host likely plays a large part. Oddly enough, his reference to Stern earlier about wealth had me connecting Robin Quiver to Stern with Monica and Dax. Somehow Stern was able to get away with a lot more by having Robin as his co-pilot as opposed to if it were just Stern driving solo. Do you agree with that, Jackson?
I understand what the rationale. I understand the rationale. However, I can point to so many examples where that's just not the case. And first of all, like also Robin Quivers is like super talented for like she's outstanding. And like I said, I don't listen to that much Stern, but what I've listened to, I always thought she was great. But like Joe Rogan, he is the biggest podcaster in the world, and his producer is.
But if I'm not mistaken, his and it could be wrong because I don't listen.
Yeah.
That's one. I mean, I'm sure I've listened to some, but he is interviewing people every time.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, well then that's different than what the Howard Stern show is.
He sometimes isn't though. Sometimes he's just like spitting
by himself.
He usually he has what's that fucking guy's name? Joey Coco Diaz is a co-host of his sometimes. But I don't know. I don't listen to Joe Rogan.
Okay.
So
then what would be an example? I mean,
Bill Simmons doesn't have he doesn't interview people, and he's solo.
Yeah, but I mean, Bill Simmons isn't going into where Stern's going.
Yeah, okay. So I guess in like not a non-sports realm.
Yeah, sports.
Then I guess I don't have as many.
I mean, Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
But that was somebody who kind of welcomed that.
Right, and he was only kind of playing to a certain percentage of the audience.
Right.
You know, like he knows he's only going to get 50%.
Well, I agree with the premise. I 100% agree with the premise. And my story is, I think it was, I believe that movie, Private Parts, came out in 1997. You're nodding? You're already with me on that? You know that? Probably we've come up enough.
Weird about movie years.
Oh, so then you usually know, it is 97. Speaking volumes about my social life at this point, I went on spring break to Lawrence, Kansas in 1997.
Picturesque destination.
Thank you.
Who needs Destin?
I thought you might throw something at me, especially while you're wearing your black and gold and your Tigers hoodie as we say this.
I've done some Hoosier spring breaking in my life, so.
My buddy was in school at KU, and it really kind of had nothing to do and no money, and so I was just like, we'll drive over there and we'll hang out there. God, I wonder where the hell we stayed. I wonder if we just hijacked his place. How fucking annoying would that be?
Yeah, you were in college. So,
I was.
So, yeah, I can't imagine you were balling out in a hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a place to ball out in the hotel in Lawrence.
But I remember we went to see that movie over spring break. And I would imagine there were some moments that if I really dug deep, and I don't even know if my memory would allow me to do this, would probably be more significant as far as what my career trajectory became. But I can't think of one more significant than seeing that movie, which maybe people might shit on and say it's embarrassing, whatever. I don't really fucking care. It's the truth.
Look cool, man.
But it wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. Because at that time in my mind, I wanted to be the Cardinal play-by-play guy. And now, as weird as it might be to say this, it's a lot of being this time in my life. Number one, it could never happen because of the things I say, and that's fine. Don't care. Number two, I don't know. It probably wasn't even in play at that time anyway, even if in my mind it was. And number three, for whatever reason, in particular, the scene, which I'm sure is a creation or an exaggeration of a real incident in which he's doing a live read for a sporting goods store that's opening up, and he doesn't have the copy, and they're rustling around the studio to find the copy, and he decides to ad-lib because he doesn't have the copy and says, me and my family, we went to so-and-so sporting goods when I was a kid, and I loved it, and then he finally gets the copy, goes, and the grand opening is this, and he goes, you know what, I'll never do that again. Now, again, I'll never lie to you again. I'll never lie to you again. That is like the North Star of how I attempt to do a show. And I think that's probably why, if I were to evaluate why I cringe, it's not because they're making, and I don't even know how much money Dan Orlovsky's making. It's just I just don't really, like, I feel like it's so, I think at the core, I feel like not the sports, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, Dan Orlovsky, whatever else, Take Smith, they're not negatively impacting the world. It's like watching, you know, WWE and go, well, that's the reason why it's just like it's over there and it's irrelevant. But I do feel like those who are in positions of influence with news talk shows are and have played a role in the American decline, or the American decline as far as where we are as a country in a form of a cold civil war. I really do. And I think that's why I have this like immediate reaction to social media and anonymity and lying from the people who kind of become the cults of personality in spots of broadcasting, much less those who are elected officials, because I feel like they are the ones who are actually responsible for the misinformation that then leads to the cold civil war. And some might say, well, you're taking this and really running with it, but that's how I feel. And so therefore, I feel like the obligation is to be honest. If you are a host, as your talk show host giving opinions, whatever topic it might be, being honest. And then I look at some of this stuff and I go, God, these people are knowingly saying shit they don't believe, or knowingly saying shit they know is not true. How is that not a fireable offense? I just don't. And how do they continue to have audiences? You know, I don't sit there, you know, and like we somehow, because the Netflix WWE deal. Mm-hmm. And let me make this crystal clear. I don't know if there's a bigger Doug Vaughn fan in the world than me as far as like a guy goes, much less somebody I work with. But I disagree with, I'm only putting that disclaimer here because he's not here to,
right.
But I just disagree, like the WWE's popularity is like an illustration, he said this morning, of like the dumbing down of America. And I just don't, I would say our politics actually is more of an illustration of the dumbing down of America than professional wrestling, which has been around well before this cold civil war. And it's harmless. It's a male soap opera. It's been popular well before. Take your pick of whatever outlet or talk show host started, you know, moving people into places of misinformation and or, you know, I don't even know what the right word would be, moronic thought.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is why I have the reaction. And Orlovsky, really, when it's all said and done, is a harmless guy who, you know, has kind of made it clear. I think he said, when I interviewed there, one of my first shows, I was told, you know, it's not ready, aim, fire, it's fire. And then
whatever happens, happens.
Right? And I'm just like, oh, he's telling you, he's, you know, and then it becomes like, I'm just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But the reality, it's like something we just joke about. Probably because he's kind of goofy, and, you know, I have no ill will toward the man. I do have ill will toward people lying to their audiences. And it's one thing if it's all benign, but if you're knowingly doing it, I'm like, God, I personally, and I'm not on a moral high ground, godless pervert, but if I were like on TMA or on 101 or on this podcast and like knowingly saying shit to people that's not true, or knowingly with self-interest manipulating facts to say, well, this isn't true, and then this is further proof of this, knowing that would then make me more money, I would feel like it's borderline criminal. Mm-hmm. That's where I am. I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't do it or I'm on a moral high ground. I just want to make that clear. But God, that really, I'm not personally good with that. And I don't know how others put their heads on the pillow, but obviously they do. And the people making the most money in our industry, not across the board, but a lot, are essentially playing characters. And I'm in awe of it because it actually has had a negative impact on our country.
Yeah.
And it just continues. And it's not showing any signs of changing. And I just wouldn't even begin to entertain that. You can put whatever amount of money over there and say, okay, this is what you got to do, but, you know, this is what you got to do. Like, I might as well work for a criminal syndicate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because once you compromise that authenticity, that genuine response to things, how are you ever going to how are you ever convince people that you're telling the truth?
Right.
Once you have a track record of not doing so for the sake of money. You know?
So because of that, that movie that lit a fire under my ass, and I specifically remember I can like picture the movie theater again, Big Spring Break in Lawrence, Kansas, in '97, and I think the person I was for the first 20 years of my life, then who I became when I was on the air in Columbia, was fueled in part by that movie, but also in part by the influences of SportsCenter at the time, which was, from my standpoint, the best. I don't know how that would play now, and I'm talking about Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Stuart Scott, Craig Kilborn, Rich Eisen. I'm sure I'm missing some others that I certainly was a fan of, and you just loved that. And it was really just a bunch of smart-ass stuff, but that's what I did. Every intro on camera, almost every intro, was like, you know, a smart-ass comment. But that's who I was, so I wasn't like playing a character.
Yeah.
And then there was a welcoming of, I knew I'd get off the set. Well, I didn't know it at first, but then when it started happening, like I'd get off the set and I knew there'd be hate calls. But then there were also calls that loved it. I didn't care, and I guess that was a healthy thing. But again, I think that goes back to seeing this movie, and then there's the scene, well, you know, the people who love him, they're listening. Well, what about the people who hate him? Well, they're listening even longer. So you become aware that that's just kind of, again, the cost of doing business. So that movie had this significant impact on me in the awareness of the business, but also my North Star of, okay, this is what I'm going to say, and it's going to be honest. And then you become aware of, well, because I'm going to do this, then the dream job is just not in play. So I've known this for like a quarter century. And again, not to say that had I not taken this route, I would have been calling Cardinal games. I want to make that crystal clear. That's still a lottery ticket situation. But by my conduct on the air, I absolutely took myself out of the mix. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm understanding of that. So then along those lines, I also made the observation, which struck me as obvious, that there's just no way in the world Howard Stern didn't think about the fact that he has a black female sitting next to him for the things that he was doing, some of which were racially could never fly in 2024, and then it does provide him cover. There's no question about it. As Dax makes that observation with, I don't know who Monica is. I gather Monica must be of non-white background. I have no idea. You don't listen. You don't know either. But then that it does provide cover. So, yeah, I absolutely think it was strategic. I do. And that's not to say that she's not smart or not a talented broadcaster. It's not it. I'm just saying I think he was thinking through that lens. I just do. I have wanted to work with a female for a long time, and it just hasn't happened. But I don't think of it because it provides me cover. I just think it would provide some different perspective when we're nitwitting around about something, and then somebody can provide a different perspective. It's like when we were at 920 and I was building up a lineup, and I thought to myself, we don't have anybody, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was 920 or 590. Yeah, it was 920. And I remember reaching out to Mike Claiborne, going, hey, I just think it makes a better radio station if you have different perspectives. Not like you force people into spots and take them away from others, but you have nights and weekends to use kind of as a system to develop talent. It's good for the business to utilize those times to, I guess at 920 we didn't have weekends, but we had nights. And let's utilize that to try to develop talent and give people an opportunity and see what happens. And then, ideally, it becomes like your farm system. And then when there are opportunities in your main day parts, well, because you know they've performed at night or in the early mornings, like we were talking about T.J. Weber, who's done very well for himself, then you put them in that spot, or it just allows them to get some reps in the business. And I remember talking to another program director in the market. I reached out to him, white guy, and he goes, man, the fact that you're even thinking this way, he goes, I really appreciate that. And I go, yeah, to me, it's not, I mean, obviously it's a private conversation, but it just seems like it's the right thing to do. Not necessarily through an ethical or moral lens, although I guess one might say it may be, but it's just good business. It's just good business.
Yeah, it's good for the product.
Yeah, I think it's good for the product, right. So yeah, I don't know. I remember that conversation. Maybe we had Brian Burwell on with Strauss at the beginning, but I remember having that conversation with Claiborne. So with regard to the thing with people not liking people who make money, even though everybody wants to make money, I remember thinking to myself, Mitt Romney's running for president in 2012 and is going out of his way to talk about his humble beginnings or his father's humble beginnings. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, I mean, even this guy who was born into an incredible situation feels like he has to try to convey to people that he doesn't have money. Find me a politician who is going out of their way to talk about how much money they were born into.
Right.
It'll be hard-pressed.
Right.
You'll be hard-pressed to do so.
Right.
So that's been going on in American politics. I don't know for how long. And then you, of course, have the great example of somebody who is wealthy, who is a god to many of whom who don't have money, in former President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have that dichotomy. And so my questions would be twofold, and people are more than welcome to email in with their theories. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. Why does this situation exist, number one? And then secondarily, if you want to take it to the Trump phenomenon, why is he an exception to the rule?
Yeah. Oh.
Any theories?
I think Chappelle once made a good observation on Trump during one of his SNL monologues about like how he was like a rich guy, but he explained how like politicians got rich and how he exploited it, how like Trump kind of exploited like just like being rich and doing that, but like because he was being so transparent about it, it felt like Trump was the one who was like finally like unearthing the truth about rich politicians.
That's interesting.
Even though he is a rich politician,
right?
You know, so it's like, and then like if like Hillary Clinton's only response was like to accept that like, yeah, I do this too, and it's like, and so it like kind of shook things up because he's so different in the way he conducts himself that it's like, this is what the people like actually feel like, despite, you know, him being a rich politician. If you unearth how other politicians get rich, it's like you're exposing it to an extent.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a very astute observation by Dave Chappelle.
It's anti-media. I think that resonates.
Right, but again, he's a guy who's benefited greatly from the media.
But so you call that out. I think people like that.
Yeah.
So that then gives you credibility, even though it's got nothing to do with wealth. But it's just like, I like this guy because he's a tell it like it is guy.
In their minds, right?
Right. Yes, I mean, yes.
It's eye of the beholder, but yeah, totally.
So you have that as well. Yeah, but specific to St. Louis, I've made the observation before. I don't know why it is. I just know that it's been my experience that that's the case. I call it ambition shaming. And I don't know if that's, I mean, my theories would be okay if you grew up, take your pick of whatever neighborhood, and assuming we're not talking like Huntley, Ladue, then you're already kind of in your, you know, you're trying to come up and you're trying to be too aggressive. No, you're a, I don't know, whatever, name a municipality guy, and therefore you got to stay in your thing.
Right.
You know, to me, it's not about like, for real in a big way, not about flashing wealth, because wealth usually is whispering, money's talking. I just respect ambition and hustle.
Yeah.
In a big way. And that's different than like going on social media and, you know, attempting to like make it look like you're not bragging, but it's kind of obvious if you have some semblance of an IQ, what's really going on.
Right.
You know?
Like there's a clear difference between someone who bet on themselves and cashed in than someone who came from money and is leveraging that into more of it. You know, like I feel like there's a clear difference on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people who have bet on themselves and become super successful and are like motivational stories. And then there's those who are like, came from money but seem to be the only person who doesn't realize they came from money, and so they flash it like it's theirs kind of thing. It's like, oh well, you kind of won the lottery essentially. You're not necessarily like a real titan of industry, And so to me, it's all about self-awareness when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're self-aware that you're like Larry David, he doesn't, in the show, it was weird to me when he started driving a Tesla or a BMW, it's still an electric car, but he had so long driven a Prius, despite again being worth like $800 million. Like there's something about like the way you carry yourself and your awareness around your money.
Timmy recaps again.
Boy, this guy.
I guess, okay, Monica, her name is Monica Padman, Padman, was born in Duluth, Georgia, to a Malayali engineer. Am I pronouncing that right, Jackson? And computer programmer. Her mother moved to the U.S. from India at the age of 6, and her father moved to the United States from India as a college student. Okay, so she is of Indian descent.
Got it.
So there you go.
Got it. Good information.
Yeah, that I was deducing that from what he said, and then he sent me the link. So it's at 45 minutes of the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. And I know, and then listen, I think he knows, and I guess everybody else maybe not know. I mean, why he sent this in and why it activates me is because I feel like, in a way, personal. I mean, you want to talk about significant moments in my career, seeing that movie in Lawrence, Kansas, and then also that, it eventually became an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, but it was out in, I don't remember, it's like a Radio Trades, if you would, publication. That's when my phone started blowing up, I guess, because it was starting to get tweeted around about my personal services contract. And this is 8 years ago at this point. But March 1997, and seeing that movie, and I think that was June of 2016, and that happening, two apps. You could make it a case. It was the beginning, even though nobody knew it, including myself, of March 1997. And then that was, in part, the end in June 2016, as far as the audience, a good portion of polling for me.
Right.
And I guess I'm going to tell the backstory of all that happening for the first time, I think. So I'm in Las Vegas. We had done the deal maybe the night before I flew out. Didn't have kids. So I think we were staying out there for 2 weeks because I know I've just done this deal. I know that there's not, I think I signed it. That must have been probably May of 2016. The people closest to me in the business because we were just picking up and moving from 920 to 590. So it wasn't a case of people with us losing their jobs.
Yeah.
In that year of 2016, I was talking with Tommy Mattern, who we now work with here at Hubbard. He was at Emmis at the time. Emmis owned 105.7 The Point, KC95, 97.1, and 96.3, I believe, and they were located down at Union Station. I was talking with John Kiowski, who we talk about on the show, but for the record is the Hubbard market manager. And we were under a deal at 920 with the late Bert Kaufman, but I had a 30-day out. So I was like his tenant, but I had a 30-day out after a certain period of time in the deal. And I had, so essentially we had some free agency.
Yeah.
And it had gotten to a point with that deal, and I think I talked about this relatively recently, about how much we were paying for that airtime. We started off paying $16,000 a month for that airtime. If this is a money thing, then great. But now people can understand it. It's certainly not a brag, but it's just, these are just the numbers. And I tell this because the first check that I cut was for August of 2013. Now it's January, when all these conversations start up, of 2016, and I'm paying $30,000 a month for that airtime.
Jeez, double.
So we had made a decision, and again, hey, whatever reaction one may have to that, be my guests. It's the truth, and had it stayed around even 18, we probably are still there to this day because we were happy there. But it became, if you add up that difference, you're talking about a $168,000 annual difference.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Huge.
super material in this world. In other businesses, it's, it counts. I don't think too many people would just go, whatever. Certain businesses absolutely would be like, okay, who gives a shit, $168,000, don't give a fuck. Our business, it mattered. So I knew we had to move on because that's just
Not sustainable.
It's irresponsible. I also knew it was I say in my opinion, I think he would probably agree if he were sitting here, and I know that isn't going to happen, that it was a mistake on his part because there was no way in the world there was a soul, I would say in the country, but certainly in St. Louis, who was going to come in and pay him $30,000 a month to rent 920 Monday through Friday. And no one did, and I don't think anybody came in and even gave him a total of $5,000 a month all in for that station's revenue going forward. But we were in a position that we were able to do it, but it was like I'm working my ass off, and it's just like, okay, the tab just keeps going up, and that's just, man, to me, good business deals really have to work for both parties. It's not really a cutting-edge take. It's a like-bait take, I suppose. But it's true. Because if it would have kept it relative, I mean, even if it goes up to 20, it's still a 25% increase in less 3 years. That's pretty fucking substantial. Right. But fine. But to go up to 30,
it's crazy.
So that's why I'm exploring all these things. And so we get the deal. We decide on KFNS. And when that all... Is your phone ringing or my phone ringing? I apologize.
Not mine.
So I signed that deal. I know everybody's going to be taken care of. Doug, the cat, Sea Monster, all on TMA. Iggy wasn't on the show. Iggy was at KFNS at the time. Frank, who's my man, we were picking up our lineup. Now, Dan Caesar, the Post-Dispatch, kept calling it a merger. And I kept saying it's not a merger. I don't know. And I think the gentleman who owned KFNS... Randy Markell, maybe it called it a merger. It wasn't a merger. I suppose we were going over there. A merger would mean that the two businesses, and that's not what it was. And this is one of the things that perhaps causes confusion with the audience, that Inside STL is a separate entity that continues to this day to own the intellectual property of TMA and this podcast. And we license it to parent companies. And then those companies, this is really essentially a similar deal as far as the structure goes of Pat McAfee's, which has certainly gotten attention. Now McAfee's getting paid whatever the hell he is for his, certainly quite a lot more than me, but that's what the deal was. And then also Randy wanted me to run the station. And then he gave me equity in the station for the deal. That part was intriguing, but it was a minority position, so it wasn't a majority. Why would he give me a majority? It would be really weird. So because I was given ownership in the station, you have to submit documents to the FCC, as Bert Kaufman called it, the commission, and to let them research who is going to have their name on a license of what is publicly operated airways. And so when that happened, I guess they had to do a background check on me and whatever else, because now KFNS is going to go from, I gather, 100% Randy Markell to my percentage, which was not greater than 50, but nonetheless was a percentage, and so that had to be submitted. So I'm out in Las Vegas. Everybody's going to be taken care of. We're just picking up and moving. But now we're not going to have to pay $360,000 a year to rent airtime. So we're already profitable.
Yeah, just by that alone.
But the business paying $360,000 is already profitable. Now we just take that away.
Right.
I'm going, here we go. We're about to we can do some things here.
Yeah.
And I'm fired up and I love it. I'm excited. It's good for the people I work with. And I think we're about to do some really good things. This is May of 2016. Sign the deal, go downtown to his law firm, sign the deal. Next day, I'm on a plane with my wife. Again, don't have kids. It's like May of 2016. and have nothing to do. I mean, just fucking poker and booze. I mean, just it's, you know, to think that was my life, and it wasn't that long ago. And so I'm playing in a poker tournament to win, because that's all she would sit by the pool, and I would go play poker. I mean, that's what I did. And again, everybody's taken care of, so there's nothing to worry about, and we can't start up anyway,
Chilling.
I think, until September. So we kind of got this, but I also had to be kept under wraps. So I only know about it, my attorney knows about it, and Randy knows about it, and that's pretty much it. And so my attorney calls me, I'm in the middle of this poker tournament, and says, hey, can you give me a call real quick? In my mind, now as that became a regular occurrence, it had a negative connotation, but at this time, everything's great.
Yeah.
And also, it's so amazing, speaking of poker, brief aside, how it's so important. It's like golf, to be in a good mindset to play. Even though the cards are still the same, no matter what your mindset is, how you execute mathematically and psychologically are immediately impacted by outside forces. And my attorney calls me, and I get a break in the tournament, and he goes, hey, we got to talk about something. Randy has changed the name of the company from Markel Radio Group to McKernan Radio Group. And he goes, I think he did it to be nice, because he always said you're going to wind up owning this and it's going to be yours. He goes, but I know how you are, and that might not be something. I go, I don't want that.
Right.
That is not me. It's not about me. I really don't want that. Please, it's a weird deal, because somebody's doing something. I know he absolutely was doing that. To be kind is like you know, it truly was.
A welcome gift of some sort.
Yeah, like you know, we're in this, but it's
Good
your
faith.
name.
Right.
Absolutely, truly was. And I said, but that's just not me. That is not me. That's not, because the success of this is not me.
Right.
And I know it, so I may be a part of it, but it is not me. You know, if you want to put names on it, you're going to need about 20 names on it, because that's going to tell the story, not mine. And he goes, you can set up a DBA, and no one will ever know. So, and I'm like, I really am uncomfortable with this, though. I really want this changed back, or changed to something other than that. I don't care. You know, call it the Doug Vaughn Media Group or something. It doesn't matter.
Birthday Whole Media Group.
Any name, it doesn't matter. You know, and usually people don't even know what the real names of LLCs are, because usually they're set up as DBAs doing business. He goes, yeah, but we'll set up a DBA. Nobody will know. It doesn't really matter. And it owned me the rest of the day, because I was so. But the saving grace, in turn, I bust out of the tournament the next level, no question about it, because I'm now in a. This is
Change your mindset.
100%. So he said, but nobody will know about it. It's private. I know who you are. You want things private. You don't want so don't worry about it. The next day, I'm in a different tournament. And I remember this, because I was off to a big start in a big tournament. It was the Venetian Deep Stacks over at the Venetian Hotel. And I'm like, fuck. I actually was thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I got a good read on the players on the table. I'm on, you know, things might happen. Yeah. First couple levels, you never know. You can get blown up, but I'm like, okay.
Magic on the felt.
Magic on the felt, Peter. Magic on the felt. And I got my phone in a little cup holder where people hold their booze.
Right.
I got my phone in a little cup holder. And when you don't have cards and you're not in a hand, you can fuck around with your phone. You can't fuck around with your phone while you're in a hand. No. So I noticed that it's kind of going off, and I look at it, and it's a number. I don't know if I wish I still had these, but it's a bunch of texts about the deal, and not just that I am receiving, I didn't pay for, but I think it was reported that I was buying in to KFNS. That was absolutely not true, period. There isn't a soul in the world who would say otherwise. I didn't put $1 in. I was given that in order to come over there with our infrastructure. That I was buying in, and that I owned a portion of KFNS. But more importantly, what really mattered to people was my 5-year compensation package, and the size of it and all of the things that I got. And that was the end right there. That truly was the end. Now, I mean, we're talking about what you make doing radio in St. Louis versus Dax Shepard's money, and he's married to somebody who also has made an absurd amount of money. So I'm well aware of our, but we're talking about in St. Louis,
Right.
And I didn't know it in that moment, but I'm telling you, and I think it comes from in my house growing up. This was just the way my dad operated. There was a lot of yelling. And so therefore, I'm not really a yeller. I can bring it out with my kids, but rarely. I mean, God, I don't even know with coworkers. I'm sure I had to have it at points. I can think of one in 2008 when we had a website fucking up inside STL.com. And I remember the look on people's faces when they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that you had that. And then this moment where I walk out, it's 2 p.m. in Las Vegas. It's May, June, so it's hot as fuck.
Right.
I'm on the Strip, and I'm on the phone with my business advisor and my attorney, and I am going fucking crazy. So I probably looked at like a crazy person on the Strip.
Yeah. Right.
Like you assume I'm just like lost. God only knows how much money,
Right.
and I'm raging. That's what it looked like.
Doing a cash call.
Oh my God! And I'm going. I was furious yesterday about the McKernan Radio Group thing. Now, not only somehow there are details of a personal services contract that was obviously private, but also false information in there that, that this trade publication, whatever the fuck it was, I don't even know what it was, that it's out. How is this even possible? How is this possible? I didn't like that the company was going to be named after me because I was like, that looks, Instagram-y. I'm sure I didn't use the term.
It looks like veneers.
It looks like veneers. That's nice. I think I might use that going on. I just learned about them half hour ago. And I'm screaming. I mean, for real. I don't know if I've screamed like this to somebody. I mean, it's been a decade, which I had to have, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm actually, in a way, impressed or also concerned that it's, but I mean, and I'm doing this out. I mean, I would never do it in St. Louis, but in Las Vegas, nobody's who the fuck I am. So I'm just on, and I'm, and they're like, one of the guys is still with me as an advisor, like one of my favorite people in the world, and has seen it all. Holy shit. And then another one, and this is a whole different story. He's my attorney, and he's, trying to calm me down. And I'm like, I was not happy about yesterday, which was something that we thought no one would ever know about, and was a good. What about this?
Yeah, now we have a real situation.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And what happened was this actually came up this past Friday. I'm having some drinks with people, and somebody goes in the middle of it, I just don't remember the Post-Dispatch like publicizing all broadcast personalities' contracts. And I said, well, they don't. This was a different set of circumstances. Because the document had to go to the Federal Communications Commission because of the change in ownership. In the same document, it's a contract, and I'm sure anybody in here has signed contracts. If you own a home, you've signed a contract, much less a personal services agreement, or buying a part of business or selling a business, whatever it is. And there's all, there's multiple pages. In the same document, or in the same submission to the FCC of the change of ownership, my personal services contract was included for whatever reason, and then the attorney neglected to, let me put it this way, make this clear. I'm told the attorney, because I'm told that attorney really rejects that. Obviously, I'm not naming names on the attorney, but the attorney, not my attorney, neglected to redact the personal services portion, which had nothing to do with the FCC.
The change of ownership.
Exactly. So because it's a public document, because it's going to the FCC, once that people see, oh, there's change in ownership in a station in St. Louis, oh, look, we now have a point of reference on a contract because that wasn't redacted, and then people know that people eat that shit alive. off it goes. And then once that was out there, then the Post-Dispatch took it. Now, my advisor guy was beside himself that the Post-Dispatch was publishing that. I was like, there's not a doubt in my mind they will.
Yeah.
And as much as I didn't like it, like hated it, and here I am still 8 years later talking about it being a defining moment in my career and my relationship with our audience still. Probably good for everybody else on the show because then I became like the bad guy that I knew they would. And honestly, I understand them doing it.
Right. If it's a public document, like they have the. Yeah.
I mean, there's principle. It's like local news in the snowstorms.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I know what you are. I know what your situation is. I know why everybody's leaving. So you got a moment, and you're going to get some clicks, and there it was, the number 1 most read story.
Yep. Is it ethically right? Well, who knows? But
I mean, I knew it was coming. I wasn't surprised. I mean, and then it was like I don't even know whatever the size were. It was so. But the thing that I just kept going back to, and for whatever reason, I mean, there's so many things about it that bothered me. But then there were things that, even though it's like out there, so the document is there.
Right.
You can read it, and it shows I'm not buying into KFNS. I did not buy into KFNS. I was given equity, period. Not even for like a cent. It was given to me. They kept getting that wrong. And I'm like, so you're not even like, you're like an aggregator of like this trade publication that got it wrong originally, and now everybody else is just taking that and then they're writing something wrong. But going back to how this whole conversation started, that was it. And I don't think I knew it in the moment. I just was really irritated. And then that something that was, I hate self-inflicted wounds. And I'm just like, this is just, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a confidentiality clause, as I always have put in things, that there kind of goes without saying. And obviously that was just
foregone.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I bail and just go back to 920? Right. I know Bert would take me. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing. I pride myself on being able to communicate if there is a serious set of circumstances going to alter people's lives in the negative. Communicating. Well, this one we had to keep quiet because we were going to stay at 920 until August 31st, I think, whatever the last day of August would be. And hey, I wasn't like doing anything wrong. I had a 30-day out. But this situation, it wasn't going to impact. You're just going to drive and go somewhere different.
Yeah, right.
Your income is going to be the same. Nobody's going to be out as far as our group goes. But it was being called a merger. I'm like, that's not true. You bought into KFNS. That's not true. But as it turns out, and that's in the moment, that's what bothered me the most. But as it turns out, that of the whole, 7-figure contract, not 7 figures annually, 7-figure contract, I don't want to say it ended it, but there was a good portion of the population, it probably doesn't even know, but subconsciously from that point forward viewed me differently. And I went from like the upstart, I'm pulling for the entrepreneur, been through some, tough shit, but kept the group together. Oh, fuck him. Yeah. And that was it. And it sucks. And I, to this day, hate it. Obviously, because here I am talking about it. But there's certainly more to it. I mean, so I'm on the phone that night with everybody who works at 920, explaining what the situation is, as I should. I'm in Las Vegas. If I were in St. Louis, it would have been person by person, face to face. I can go into some other, but I'm not, because I just want to keep away from that. But as far as the people who worked with me, everybody, if anything, was excited about it. But it just was not supposed to go down that way.
Right.
And it was, it was rough. And it's still to this day is something that really irritates me. But I also think my relationship, I don't know if the relationship, I just think, and even though nobody's ever said it to me, I know it. It's like, oh, fuck him. He makes that? It's like, yeah, okay. I did then. Yeah. But when I put my house up in 2013, they didn't write about that. So that counts too. And we made it work. and sometimes not paying ourselves. By ourselves, I mean me and my wife, not anybody else. Nobody else ever had to take a pay cut ever. I was very proud of that. I wouldn't do it any other way. I mean, there was no way in the world I'm going to be keeping paying myself. I just like, hey, to my wife, I'm like, we can't pay ourselves. We don't have it. I mean, we can take out a loan, but then we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we can't do it. But that part of the story is forgotten, and then she becomes, oh, fuck him, you know. And yeah, that part wasn't mentioned in the story where I bought quote unquote KFNS, except I was just given equity, which, by the way, less than a year later, I gave back for nothing. So, you know, do what you want with that. But you're more than welcome to extrapolate from that. But yeah, it was a real rough set of circumstances, and it didn't have to be that way. And I think if that didn't happen, I think things are different now. Yeah, I really do.
Tough to say otherwise.
Yeah,
you know, something like that. It's a big matzo ball out there to just release to that it got released to the public like that, and it's unfair. It sucks. Yeah, that's brutal.
People are weird, man. Why would anyone care about that? That's from Brad. Well, it's because that's kind of like a little titillating thing.
Right.
You know, there have been things written about people's salaries, not often, in St. Louis broadcasting, and sometimes, like, I actually know that it's not true.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, but whatever. If people want to act like that they're making a certain amount, then I guess if you say it, and then somebody goes along with it who's in a position to do so, then they can make it up. Yeah. But in this case, it was an actual contract, so there wasn't really much to dispute, you know?
Right.
And then it's like, oh, God, his wife's getting... Well, my wife works with me. My wife's working for, like, way below market because this is our business. You know, if I have to let go of my wife, I'm going to have to replace her and pay somebody 50% more. But since it's our business, she does this, and this is our family business. So that's why she's included. Oh, fuck him. He's got his wife taken care of. How come everybody else doesn't? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. There it is. I feel like you're disengaged, and I'm going to stop because of it. And I apologize if I'm going on and on and on.
I'm not disengaged.
Okay.
I'm not disengaged.
All right.
I'm here, baby. You do read people really well, but I am...
So you are disengaged?
No, I'm not disengaged.
Okay. Have I told that story before?
With the D's, probably.
Really? Walking around the Las Vegas Strip screaming at my attorney and my advisor?
I knew you were in Vegas when all that happened.
Yeah, I've talked about that. But like the DBA and the McKernan radio group thing?
Yeah. But I can't remember when the last time you told us. So I'm here. I'm here, baby. I'm locked in.
All right, fair enough.
QFTA.
You're welcome to participate anytime you would like by emailing tmckernan@insidestl.com, tmckernan@insidestl.com with your questions, your comments, your erotic stories. Boy, we are getting action. This is great. They're coming in fast.
Love
it. Here we go. Quick hitter. This will activate your synapses. Just a quick sports hypothetical. If St. Louis was to land an expansion team from the NFL or NBA, which one do you think would be the most suitable and successful? Thanks, guys. That's from Adam.
NFL.
I agree with that.
NFL doesn't insert city name here. It's gonna.
Yeah.
It's just.
I appreciate Adam's question. I can't really. There's not much more to go with it. I feel like it's like a family feud.
Right. Like if you're asking which one I prefer, obviously I'm going to say the NBA.
Would you?
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's funny. You would have asked me in January of 2016, right after the Rams left. I said I would rather have an NFL team. Nowadays, much rather have an NBA team. Like much rather.
I want the NFL. I mean, it's not. I'm like, to be clear, I don't think either one of these things are happening. It'd be great. I really do think one could have happened. Hell, both could have happened, but at different points in our city's history. It can't be at the Dome.
No.
It just I don't know where in the area.
It would have to be. I mean, like
it needs to be like like how a lot of these are now, kind of outside of the downtown area, where it's a place to tailgate and hang out.
Make a whole district out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, totally agree. And you can't do that on the north side downtown.
Right. I don't know. I really do mean this when I say this. I don't know. You may be still around. I might be gone, or I might be like 80 when it happens. But, and maybe it'll happen sooner. I still think, I truly do. I don't think it's like in the next 5 years. But I think St. Louis will have some kind of a rebirth. I really do. I really do. And a lot of that is there's just a lot in place here that you can't create elsewhere.
That's true.
And maybe there will be a bottoming out of some kind where people go, okay, holy shit. Or there's a bottoming out on the coast for whatever reason. And by bottoming out, I mean like people go, okay, I can't live here. We can't live for whatever reason.
Right.
Again,
Might literally be a bottoming out in some parts of the coast.
so it's just like I would buy up St. Louis again, and people go, God, you're really high on St. Louis. You buy when it's low. You buy when it's low, and it can't. I mean, when has the stock been lower? Yeah. And it's kind of like a penny stock with the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, okay, let's see if it can hit. You know?
Yeah. No, definitely.
And then if that's the case, then you can have the NFL and NBA and whatever is big at that time, pickleball. I guess in 50 years there'll be pickleball leagues.
Hard pass. Yeah. There's a reason that no other major city in America has only hockey and baseball, because it's not necessarily the most desirable 1-2 punch.
There is no other city that has that. I remember I used to do a trivia question, and now, I mean, it's dated, obviously. There were 3 cities at the time, again, this is dated, that had the NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, but no NBA.
Pittsburgh?
Wow. Look at you. Look at you.
Pittsburgh.
Obviously, St. Louis.
St. Louis, and there's one more.
There was, but I mean, again, I would ask this question at a time. It might be different now. Maybe there's another team now.
Fucking Cincinnati was close, but no.
Right.
Kansas City, no. I'm trying to think West Coast. Seattle wouldn't have had at the time of you asking, wouldn't have had the Kraken, so no. Even though they do now have that.
Oh, so Seattle now would be. Yeah, Seattle now would be, but it wasn't.
But they're going to have basketball really soon.
Right. Is that official?
No, but if the next expansion, the next expansion will be LA or Vegas and Seattle. If I could bet my 2 testicles, I would. Oh boy, now I'm struggling with the third. No NBA.
Jackson's eyes just opened like it hit him, but then no words came out.
Yeah, that's a doozy. I just got to start thinking of Major League Baseball cities.
Nothing in the YouTube chat, although Ellen Dadeville's there.
Fuck. I thought I had some with Toronto, but they have NBA. And obviously no NFL.
Tampa.
Oh, yeah, Tampa. Good call. Great call.
Well, I mean, it's not really a call. It just is.
Well, yeah, I was thinking.
That was the case, and now St. Louis is gone, and Seattle has replaced St. Louis here within the last few years with the Kraken.
Yep.
But Seattle is not that way, and probably when I was asking that question, the Sonics might have still been there before they went to Oklahoma City. What year did they go there? Because I know they were in the finals in 12.
Kevin Durant was drafted in 07, played 1 year in Seattle, so they must have been moved there in 08 because the Katrina thing had shown that they were a very viable NBA city.
Bunch of people jumped in, and not a bunch, a couple.
Tampa.
With the Tampa call.
Yeah. Felt good about Pittsburgh, but yeah.
I was like, oh, you know this. Yeah, I must have asked you this query before.
Well, it was just one of the many similarities between Pittsburgh and St. Louis back in the day, but now it's much different. But yeah, no other town has just baseball and hockey. We're the only ones. We're the opposite of Indianapolis, another very comparable city. Or NHL.
NBA and NFL, I'm sorry.
Yeah. 2 most desirable leagues.
Yeah, for the younger demographic. I don't know. Yeah, it could either just go completely off the map, so to speak, or it could have a rebirth. And I don't know. I really do. It's just, the thing is, I just don't think it's like near term. But maybe it will be.
Yeah.
I doubt people like who in the 1980s lived in Nashville could have seen this coming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So the difference is St. Louis was once a monster city, but Detroit has experienced a rebirth.
Yeah, and they have all 4. I think Nashville might be another unique one. I don't know if any other city has only NFL and NHL. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Canada. I don't think. Well, Santa Clara is probably closer to San Jose than San Francisco is, and they have.
Yeah, but I mean,
that doesn't count.
It's a stretch.
But
I feel like there's got to be, but maybe there isn't. I'm sitting here racking my brain. I mean, as you go around, most of them have 4
San Diego only
Houston's
has one.
weird for as big as it is to not have an NHL. Same with Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta would be another one that's going to get an NHL team again.
They've had two.
And I think they'll get another one.
Well, I think the Coyotes will be somewhere.
Yeah. San Diego.
The
only
odds
has
on
one.
is Houston.
Yeah.
Houston Coyotes. But I mean, Houston's a monster. So is
Huge.
Atlanta. They're two
Huge.
huge cities to not have the NHL. in
And big sports markets, like very passionate about sports.
The Atlanta Thrashers, rest in peace. The Atlanta Flames. Blues taking them on tonight.
And we've talked about that in Bloom Party where the Flames was because of the fire that happened in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, that my great uncle set. Williams, come say Sherman.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a weird name for a sports team, I got to be honest with you.
It strikes me as surprising as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you think the dome hurt the NFL here, or it makes more sense to have a dome and just needs to be renovated? Renovated is a non-starter. That is beyond renovation. Yes, I do, but I think the location was one of the big problems for it. The building was outdated when it opened, truly, and the tailgate setting was, I don't know what was worse. I went to Oakland's facility, but never saw a Raiders game there. I saw an A's game at that thing. I've never been to Buffalo, but there was nothing, and maybe somebody will have one in the YouTube chat to compare to the I mean, just the absolute F grade that was the tailgating setup in downtown St. Louis for the Rams. It's not unlike anything else as far as how bad it was. It was just bad. It's a set of circumstances that were doomed to failure that had nothing to do with the fans of St. Louis. Truly not. And I'll say things that fans of St. Louis won't like. You know that. But this had nothing to do with the fans of St. Louis, but that the fans of St. Louis have the blood on their hands around the country as far as football fans go. Well, St. Louis, they lost. Just like I said about maybe there's great hockey fans in Atlanta. For all I fucking know, I have no idea. Don't know enough about it. Like plenty of people probably, well, the Rams belong in LA. Look at the building. Of course they do. But if Stan Kroenke would have owned damn near any other team, minus a handful of markets, they would have gotten his ass to LA, especially if he had it out like he did here.
Right.
And had him build the stadium in Los Angeles because he could privately do it. So that's got nothing to do with the fans of St. Louis. And it was a terrible building with terrible tailgating. Part of the NFL experience, it's so huge, is the game day before that gets it's why college football is so popular, you know?
Yep.
It's the game day tailgating experience, and we just never had that in St. Louis. And I'm saying that 24 years to the day after, from my standpoint, the best moment in Rams history in St. Louis, which was Prohl's catch to send the Rams to their first Super Bowl.
Warner.
24 years ago today. Warner, touchdown. Touchdown. Alan Dadeville said the Georgia Dome has next to no tailgating. New Falcon Stadium is the same. It's pretty bad. I would agree. I was actually thinking of Atlanta when I was thinking of others that would be comparable.
Atlanta has weird deals with their sports venues. Like they're either
those build well, the three for the Hawks. Well, now the Thrashers are gone, but it was the Hawks. I don't know if the Hawks have moved since, but it was called Phillips Arena, if memory serves. It was right by. It's still there.
Yep.
And that's where they're playing still.
They still have the big ATL out in front of it.
It's right next to what is now Mercedes-Benz, but Mercedes-Benz is right next to where the Georgia Dome was.
Right.
And then SunTrust is in a totally different part. Probably, I mean, I guess doing distances in Atlanta by time doesn't work. But, you know, it's a good ways away on the north side, I think, of the Atlanta area, if memory serves. But, yeah, they're tailgating. But, I mean, when I remember being there for some SEC championships, and there was a bunch of bars around there. I don't know.
The only time I ever go through Atlanta is driving to Florida.
Oh, is that right? You haven't stopped?
I did once, or maybe twice, but it was outside of Atlanta proper, either Marietta or another Buckhead or something, like a suburb of it. Lovely. Alpharetta. Very lovely. Enjoyed it. Be a cool place to live. Weather's pretty nice. But, yeah, never had done much Atlanting except the brutalness that is the traffic driving through the Florida.
It is something else.
But you can get to anywhere in the country from Atlanta.
Yeah, I think, I'd love for St. Louis to have one of these teams. And really outside of wanting them to have one of the teams, if it were to happen, it means something good has happened for the region. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not going to happen as it currently is now. Like, oh, look how they support MLS. That ain't going to do it. You know, and I know maybe that could come off in a way if you're hypersensitive about that stuff, but that ain't going to happen. Or look at how much they support the Battlehawks. It doesn't matter. It's going to have to be much bigger than that. But I also disagree with, like, well, who in St. Louis would do it? There are plenty of billionaires who would love to have an NFL team, and they'll go, you got to be in St. Louis. They'll go, fine, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I fly in on Sunday mornings, and I fly out on Sunday evenings.
Yeah.
Gives a shit. I can still live in Palm Beach or Palm Springs. I'm not going to change that.
Totally.
So that part, I always find that to be kind of like well, who's going to own it in St. Louis? I don't know. Some guy who probably lives in New York or L.A. or Connecticut right now.
Yeah, totally.
Anything else, Jackson? I've been going on. How we going? How long have we going? Hour and 50 minutes.
No, a little short of that. $140. Watching that golf tournament, you just brought up Palm Springs. I could really see myself enjoying living in Palm Springs. That looks like such a peaceful, quiet, really cool kind of area. It really looked wonderful on the television set.
I have been. That's where we flew with, little did I know, Anthony Kim.
Right. The most elusive man in golf.
That's that whole thing.
Yeah.
What a 48 hours that was. But not playing golf at that time.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of recognize. I mean, it's like to think, like, you know me now as Golf Boy.
Right. You are. Yeah. Golf boy in the flesh.
And to think that essentially a decade ago, I was like, I think I might have said to my wife, who was sitting there with me at the Madison Club, which is like 10 minutes from where they had that PGA Tour event this weekend, just waiting for Joe Buck to get done, walking past Glenn Fry's. He was wrapping up his round.
Not bad.
And I recall being on the phone with the guy who owned KFNS at the time, out by the pool at the Madison Club, because it was January, so it's not like people were swimming, even though it's still obviously nicer weather. But I think it was a Monday. They were having that charity tournament.
Right.
And I'm like, God, every time I'm thinking of where I was, no matter where I was in the country, I'm on the phone talking about KFNS. it's always there. Palm Springs, KFNS. Las Vegas Strip, KFNS. And I remember he was trying, and this is good, I know I've never told this one, and I don't think he'd mind. This guy, for whatever reason, was consumed with Joe Buck buying into KFNS. And God, and now knowing him better than I did even then, I remember going to his house for something. I can't remember what it was. And God, I would never do this now. Oh, it's one of those things I could tell my wife, I go, ugh.
Right.
And I had to pick something up or I had to drop something off. I don't know what the fuck it was. I'm sure he was like, God, I got to do this with this asshole. He's coming by my house. And I go, hey, by the way, so-and-so wants to see if you would be interested in putting money into KFNS. And then Joe goes, no. I go, what? And then he gave like kind of a number. It's a nice sized number. He goes, well, how about I just do that? Would that get him to stop? I go, I don't know. Well, then this guy runs around and tells people, because I said, yeah, he might be willing to, that the Buck Group was looking at the Buck Group. And Joe, still probably to this day, doesn't even know that the Buck Group existed.
Yeah.
He couldn't care any less about it or buying it or and yet he was being represented as kind of like a point of leverage for other people who are interested, as Joe Buck really wants to buy KFNS. Wow. And in reality, when I stopped by his house, I'm just like, hey, he wants me to, he goes, I don't know, you want me to, just tell him I'll put in this. Would that get him to stop? Because I was just like, hey. So anyway, we get done, and we're just sitting there like on the, and I don't play golf, and I'm at this place that I guess is, known. I mean, it's like where Mickelson will play during the off season. And then I said to Anna Marie, I go, I think that's Anthony Kim, who I think he's, big time golfer, but I didn't play golf. Right. And I was so detached from the game, truly. And then we're flying from Palm Springs to L.A., Santa Monica, super short flight. And the way it works with these guys is that it's like, hey, it's like if your car's in the shop and you said to me, hey, can I jump in your car?
Right.
That's how it is with these fucking jets.
Yeah, right.
Imagine, but that's it. And so he says to Joe, hey, Buck, with me and Anna Marie sitting there, and then it's Anthony Kim. I mean, again, this sounds like I'm like with Bigfoot, you know, in the golf world. I kind of was.
100%.
And he goes, hey, can I hitch a ride with you to L.A.? I've got, I guess, his girlfriend or a girl or whatever. And he's like, sure, whatever, you know, room at the inn.
Yeah.
And so we go to the airport, and I don't know. Oh, I'm like, yeah, I think this guy was in the mix at the Masters one year, but I don't know. I don't play golf. I don't really care. I don't know. And then we get on the plane, and then it winds up being me and Anthony talking gambling stories, and like in the most, and it's just me and him.
Right.
My wife and Joe really aren't saying anything, and it's insane. And it's him and Phil Ivey betting like absurd amounts of money. Like not like, yeah, we were betting 25,000 a hand, which to me is an absurd amount of money. It was
bigger than that, yeah.
And you know, we get done, and we land, and we get in the. Probably, I don't know what the hell we took over there. Ubers weren't around, I don't think, then, to the hotel, which wasn't very far away. And Joe goes, boy, how about that? Anthony went his separate way. It was like a girl waiting on the tarmac like it was Entourage.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica, I guess it's a private airport. And, you know, I was like, this guy, I had no idea about his golf. I'm just like, man, this guy hangs out with Phil Ivey. That's what I was interested in.
Right. Not that he went toe to toe with Tiger. Like, you know.
Is that what he did?
I thought that's what, like, he was famous for.
And he was on a Ryder Cup team, I think.
Right. Like, he played in the mat, and it was like toe to toe, and he would have, like, always had, like, the pop collar.
And the AK belt buckle.
Right. The big belt buckle.
I mean, holy shit. I mean, he's obviously living. And we drove by. I remember, I guess, did he go to La Quinta High School? I mean, not that anybody would know that.
That would be right next to where they played the tournament.
Yeah, there he is. How old is he now? God, he's almost still not. He's still, so yeah, he's from L.A. Born. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he went to La Quinta High. I mean, I so remember that we drove by on the way to the airport in Palm Springs. He goes, oh, that's where I went to high school. I'm just like, because I'm just like, he was already talking so much. I'm just like, is this just like one of those guys who just like it's complete bullshit, but he's just like, there's something I'll say I'm tied to it. I didn't know.
Right.
And I had no idea that I was with. And did he go to Oklahoma? Yes, he did. God, I remember that. Yeah. But I knew not. Yeah. And then like a few years later, when I got back into golf in 2016, I didn't realize that I was like with, like I said, like the Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy everybody like, where happened to this guy?
Yeah.
And I guess I could have asked.
You should have. It's just well, I guess you wouldn't have known it at that time. But you get to see him again. You know.
Like when's the last? Like he last won an event in 2010.
And I don't think has he even played in a major tournament?
He lost to Rory McIlroy in an event, in a playoff in 2011.
I just don't think he plays anymore.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
In April 2019, during an encounter with a fan in West Hollywood,
nice.
Kim referred to his golf game as non-existent. On January 1st, 2021, Adam Schreiber, Kim's longtime coach, posted a photo of the two in front of the Dallas skyline with the caption, 2021 is going to be special.
Well.
Maybe it was like the craps table.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I say some guys just fall out of love with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a theory that he's got some insurance thing from an injury, and that if he plays again, that he loses that settlement money. I know. I mean, who? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
all
that,
I know is he
website just
gambling.
credited a fan that he ran into in WeHo saying that you know, my game's not existent, and that's like a Wikipedia part.
Yeah, and that's where it starts. I mean, that's where it stops. That's where everything. So let's see what it would Masters. We finished third in 2010. Holy shit!
So that wouldn't have been.
And he finished fifth in 2011 in the U.S. Open. Or no, in the British Open.
Yeah, so he was like.
So this is he's 6 months removed from finishing T5 at the British Open, and I'm like, tell me about poker with Ivy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, if I were like with
nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, like if that's like the equivalent of being with like Fowler or something, you know?
Right. Somebody who hasn't won one.
I'm completely. I recognize you from TV. Oh, you play poker with Phil Ivey, and you guys stay up for 10 days in a row.
It's like going, like hanging out with Shaq, and it's like, I love you in the Icy Hot commercials. Like you're just really killing it with the general.
God Almighty. Let's see. People are talking about where to build a football stadium in the YouTube chat. Chesterfield area would be the only other spot. I don't know how that would play with the people of Chesterfield. Eric Nickens, who's a balloon party guy, says, I never would have guessed Jackson wants to live in Palm Springs, LOL.
I've shared my affinity for California and how badly I'd like to live.
And you have been there, or it just looks good to you?
Nope, never been.
Yeah, I was just there for a few days.
No Cal, and that's my dream, is Monterey. That's where I'd live. That's where I'd live that's my goal. That's everything. I love. You know
You
what I
would
love?
have done very well if you could afford to do that.
Oh, tell me. You know what I love is the change of terrain. How you can be in mountains and at the beach in like the same day. I love that.
Oh,
I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I think that's so cool. I love the coolest place I've ever been to in the world, and I have a very small worldview. The furthest I've ever been outside is Jamaica. The coolest thing was Muir Woods, the giant redwoods in San Francisco. I thought that it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how big and cool these trees are.
How about that? Look at you.
The
furthest you've ever been is Jamaica?
That's the furthest outside the
I
country I've
had
ever been.
no idea.
Mm-hmm. Furthest outside I've ever been. It's fun. My mom's been to like every country in the world. I've been to nowhere.
I'm really surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Never been. Had the opportunity, I guess, in college to go study abroad and didn't take it, and it's my biggest regret.
Had a chance to go into the NFL, but couldn't afford the pay cut at the time.
Wanted to stay in Colombia and keep going to Harpo's.
All right, Jackson, I feel like I've gone 2 hours probably. Have I?
$1.50.
$1.50.
But a good $1.50.
Telling you. You're welcome to send in questions. And listen, just because you don't hear it read right away doesn't mean it doesn't go into the file.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go listen now to this section of the podcast with Dax Shepard and is it
Rick Glassman.
Rick Glassman, that's exactly right. I'm going to pull it up right now and drive home and be like, ooh, I can't wait to listen. My wife's texting me. What's going on? Oh, no, it's my brother Kevin texting me about something else. I can't wait to show you. This is a moment where it's something for me and Jackson to go tee-hee-hee.
I like that. I like moments like that
Yes.
because I'm one of those people.
There are a few things. My brother Kevin and I, who's always thanked at the end of TMA.
He is.
He is. No, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing the podcast. I'm here until 2, and I could have left at 11.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, this is what we do, baby.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
All right. Thank you to our sponsors who make it possible. Munganess, St. Louis Acura. Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Online at carltoninsurance.net. Seth Goldcamp, Design Air Heating and Cooling. He's my guy. He's Doug's guy. Now he's Iggy's guy. DesignAirService.com. Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies, EvergreenSTL.com. And our studio sponsor, Longo Biggs. CD Longo and Doug Biggs. They want to be in the Fan Page Championship. They want your ass.
They want me personally?
I think so.
Okay. We'll see once 2 weeks.
We got to get in the simulator.
Yeah. Tell them I'm going to be playing in a little less than 2 weeks.
I was hitting the 4-iron 220. And I know some people who are like really good will be like, okay, are we bragging about that? But I'm like,
I brag about it. I can't hit.
Well, I know, but you can.
Well,
you're just not at the moment.
Yeah.
I bet that club face is like Belladonna's anus in 2006.
Wide open.
It's a gape.
I got a problem. I actually hope that the time on the shelf in the winter will like help reset it and like I'll come back kind of fresh.
I went in with the great Marty Link, Hubbard Marty, who occasionally, anytime there's a little buzz on that TMA fan page on Facebook, complain about something.
Signal.
Yeah, and he just jumps in and it's just like snuffs it out.
Yep.
It's so great. He goes, I enjoy doing that. He goes, I know I'm taking care of you guys.
That's the greatest.
Yeah, well, Jackson and I aren't really that active on there. One of the guys just isn't on the page at all. Plowhawk, I think, is the most active person on the fan page.
Of our group?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Of the 5
1,000%.
people.
1,000%.
But yet I feel like he hates it more than anybody.
Not more than Ken. Not more than Ken. Not more than Ken.
That's interesting. Well, it's interesting to me. To the public, it's not. But it just hit me here live on.
Plowhawk likes to engage. He'll engage.
That's interesting.
Plowhawk likes to engage. Twitter, Facebook.
Like Doug. I mean, I go on there to post QFTA stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, why would I read like negative stuff about myself? So you're just like, it exists.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
Have at it. I don't want to like, this isn't, Moscow in the, 50s. You write what you want. But now that I think about that, not that's something that anybody's interested in. Maybe me and you slightly.
Yeah. Doug once posted, like out of nowhere, just a picture of me when as a sophomore in high school when we beat Chaminade and we took like a team photo afterwards.
How do you have access?
I don't know. And I look like I'm 6 years old.
That's hot.
Because I have like a weird like in between buzz cut, and I was like 15. And like all the fucking Hoosiers on the fan page were like,
wow, I can't believe what I just heard.
Well, these specific Hoosiers.
Unbelievable.
These specific were like, I thought Jackson was taller. Why does he look like a child? Looks like he didn't play. Well, yeah, motherfucker, I didn't play a second. We played Jason Tatum. I just got called up to varsity like 3 weeks prior. I was 16.
To guard Tatum.
God, no. They would have played with 4 before they put me in there.
You know, Gene Hackman did that in Hoosiers.
Yeah, and yeah, my coach would have been Gene Hackman. My team is on the floor. I love
He
that
wouldn't
movie
have
so fucking much, dude.
Favorite movie of all time?
No, but I love Hoosiers.
Look at you. You ought to say, well, to clip that off and start balloon party with that tomorrow to try to endear yourself.
It's about basketball, but that actually might work. You can pick up the read.
Fat Bob Hoosier said Jackson looks like Billy Huso, the great goalie.
I've heard that. Yeah, I have similar.
That's not like an insult. I mean,
No.
you do kind of.
Could be worse. Could be worse. Could be worse.
You know.
There's one in particular who I look like that I'm not happy about.
Really? Who's that? You don't want to say it. You don't want to give the people the ammunition.
No, I've seen it before. Eric Trump.
Oh, I've seen. I was at a restaurant. He was right in front of me at a restaurant.
Yeah, I've definitely said this because you've told me about this before that you saw him.
Both he and his wife were like over I felt like 6'5". Now everybody feels that way to me.
Yeah, he is.
And it was on the day, I think, I don't know how many times his dad got impeached, but his dad got impeached earlier in the day. And I'm like, oh, he's just out. Yeah. And then he made his way to the table, and me and Anna Marie, it might have been her birthday or Valentine's Day, they're right next to each other. Not great for me, which I know is top priority for her. We're sitting there, and I'd seen him like, whatever. I think I snuck a little picture just because I knew some in my family would be really excited. And as he walked to the table, some people went out of their way to cheer. And this is like an outdoor restaurant. I mean, it's a nice restaurant, but it's not like, you know, I mean, I'm there. It's not like it's...
Right.
It's essentially brick tops probably isn't Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, or Juno Beach.
Got it.
You know, brick tops.
Oh, yeah.
In
Frontenac.
Big fan of the food there.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a scene, I'm told.
Might be going there this weekend.
With your...
Yeah.
You're talking about that with a microphone on in front of you. You must feel safe on this show.
I do, and I can also just not go there now that I said that.
Oh, bait and sweet. Yeah. I showed up at the set thinking I was doing vaginal. Next thing I know, they wanted anal.
I had a nickel.
So, yeah, that's where we were. Love the food. Major recommendation for those of you lucky enough to go to spring training. Is it called the River House, I think? Yard? I don't know. Anyway, so that's where he was. And some people started cheering, and then some people started booing. And I thought in both cases, I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
I'm just trying to...
Eric Trump. Okay, let me continue dining.
Right. And I think he's like the most... I guess he pops up on shows I don't watch. Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, the other one's great.
He's a delight.
I mean, he takes me back to the Sigma Chi house in the 90s. I'm just like, this guy. Holy shit.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
Yeah, Junior.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. He's like Koepka at the Panthers game.
Yes.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And then he's got the girlfriend. Like, whoa. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, but Eric's not like that, right?
No, not like that.
Right.
But he's also like that.
I don't know. You're speaking in codes, and I love all Americans.
I know. It's only some pictures where I look scary like him, and it's...
He's not a scary-looking guy. He's like a tall...
No, he's not. It's scary how much I look like him in some...
Oh, is that right, really?
In some pictures.
When would that have been?
He has like a beard thing going on, which I'm low-key jealous of.
2021. I'm pretty sure I snapped a picture, but I don't think it was...
Yeah, he seems to have a similar follicle situation to me as well.
Was that right? Oh, he'll tend to that.
Oh, yeah, he's
probably has tended to it. You notice how like everybody in Hollywood's got a full head of hair, and I'm like, oh yeah, they didn't just get lucky.
It's curious, yeah.
Well, now that I see what's happened with Doug, like now for real, if you're in your teens or 20s and you're losing your hair, it's like, oh, I can take care of this. Yeah. Although I honestly have no idea how much it costs.
Yeah. But there's other solutions. Like what I'm doing is low cost, very low cost, and it's helping in a major way.
February, God, Jackson. This is like looking at a girlfriend I'm not over when I go back to these pictures.
Yeah, that's sunset.
Oh, God.
Well, Tim, it's, as we speak right now, what is it, 37 degrees?
Now you're tilting me. Oh, my God. Oh, I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
Oh, it's a robust 45.
Let's see if I found it. Had to have. Oh, yeah. I think this might right. Oh, there it is. And you actually can see his face. Huh. If anyone watch on YouTube, and he might not look good on YouTube. Here, I'll put it on my camera. There you go.
Yeah, he's got the beard in that one, so he doesn't look like me. But you can see the facial structure is very
see this
similar.
one? I am.
We have
I'm not
very
even
similar
checking-
hair
yeah,
color.
there you can.
Yeah, very similar hair color.
So he's smiling because he's hearing the cheers and the boos as he's.
Right.
Yeah, and this was on my wife's birthday, 2021. God almighty. I really can't, I don't do well looking at this stuff. Oh, and there's Wellington. I played golf with him on Valentine's Day. I remember posting that.
How cute.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's how I spend my Valentine's Day. Yeah. The man of my dreams. Oh, what a smooth wedge. What a smooth wedge.
He's got a great move.
He does.
And a great collection of golf shoes. He wears great golf shoes.
He is not that I would be his ultimate playing partner.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he's got a better selection to choose from. But for me, like as far as demeanor goes and quality of skill,
he's who you want.
I was playing against whatever, it doesn't matter. Nobody would know who they are anyway. But we were down, whatever, a nice amount of money after 3 holes. We're on the 4th tee box. And I didn't know if he was paying attention. And said, hey, just so you know, we're already down, whatever it was. He goes, oh, I know. A lot of golf left. I go, don't need to say anything else. We're going to be just fine. And then we were in the black when it was all said and done. Killer.
Ain't that how it works?
Oh, my God, killer.
Ain't that how it works?
They just named angels after Tim.
Okay, nice brief aside.
I don't know. That's from Eric Nickens. They named angel hair pasta after Jackson. They just named angels after Tim. Eric Nickens.
I hate angel hair pasta. Hate.
I don't really think I have it. What is it? Is that like the really thin noodle?
It's like the thinnest spaghetti.
As a Mick, I only eat potatoes all day.
Just variations of potatoes.
All I can eat.
Potato sandwich.
That's what my system can digest.
I can't stand
that and Guinness.
By the barrel. Yeah, I can't stand angel hair pasta. I don't like thin noodles like that.
Yeah, they're a little tedious to get on the fork,
They
eh?
stink. They're awful. Give me a broader, thick noodle if you would.
I never would have thought I got to leave to pick up my son from school. Otherwise, I won't be. But that's where we
Missed out
are.
on this noodle conversation.
God.
You like gnocchi? That's potatoes.
No, I do have that.
Really
I think
good.
they have some of that over at that Louis. Have you gone there yet? I think I asked you that recently. You got to take that lady friend now that you're going to these highfalutin places. I'm like, oh, I guess I can talk to Jackson about $300 dinners now, apparently.
Yeah.
The fuck you're doing on the side. Hey, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I'm secretly selling ass. Yeah, it's been,
That could be the title of
that's why
today's podcast.
I like to get these wrapped up so I can go take
Go
care
sell
of
your ass?
Yeah, go take care of. Well, someone's got to pay the bills.
Oh, God. It's not healthy for me to look at those pictures.
Yeah, can't be.
I can't. Yeah. Oh, you understand?
Well, I mean, if that's like your thing and you're staring at pictures of it, yeah, it's not good for you.
Oh, my God.
You just gotta forget about it.
Like the sun setting over my son's shoulder. It's February and we're out fishing together, just me and him. And I just like, oh, fuck. How do
Florida doesn't exist, Tim. In the winter, it doesn't exist. It's not a
my
place.
real estate agent in Florida
Yeah.
texted me during the program, too. It's all coming together.
Today?
This is the end, my only friend, the end. They played that on one of the nights they hazed our balls off at the Sigma Chi house.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I got the Narcos theme song.
Wow, it shows the recency. Well, I'm thinking a Timmy Trumpet.
No,
That
not
would have
that
been
one.
great. I'm like, wow, what a more upbeat plays here.
I wouldn't have felt as close to the Timmy Trumpet song if that had been the case. No, it was the actual theme song from Narcos.
Eric Nickens says it was a nod to Jackson's beautiful golden thin hair. Jackson's hair, man, you can't really mock it anymore.
Yeah,
It has mounted a Sunday charge.
It's coming back. It really has. Yeah. I wouldn't have had this length a year ago. No way. Couldn't have had it.
How about this? Had the procedure Doug got taken place and existed in 2003 and not 2023, I go to New York.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Period. Dead serious.
Still would have been an interesting first 6 months when you had your...
I would have tried to have gotten it done closer to 2003 as opposed to 2007.
Yeah. So,
Think about
sliding
that.
doors.
Sliding doors.
Sliding doors, man. There's a reason. There's a reason behind everything.
Because I wanted to do 2 hours on traumatic experiences from my life and then look at pictures of Eric Trump
Yeah.
that then were surrounded by other pictures that immediately brought me into depression. Right here before the audience.
Yep. Well, like I said, it's a brisk 45 outside, which is a major improvement of what we had.
That's
but
right.
still, it's stay inside weather. So what's the difference, honestly, if it's 0 degrees or 40 degrees? What? And it's cold. And it's gray. But we have the Battlehawks.
Mother, yes, son. I want to kill you. Jim Morrison. Odd lyrics.
Yeah, it's really odd, especially when you say it with no music behind it. Quite odd.
Were you familiar with those lyrics, or did they just come out of absolutely nowhere?
I've seen the Doors movie.
Good or bad? I had a feeling it was coming. What about Meg Ryan topless?
I mean, yeah, like, again,
I guarantee Ken has a thought.
But I'm from a generation where you can just see topless women like anytime you ever wanted to.
Natasha Leggero, is that she does roasts? Is that who? Am I thinking of somebody else? She's a comedian.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else and botching the name. She went topless this week doing a set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, women are just going topless now. It's great.
It's cool.
I mean, like I told you, I was watching a random movie over Christmas break with Jennifer Lawrence. I'm like, I got nothing to do. Yeah. And all of a sudden, she's out and there are breasts and shrubs. Yeah. Well, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
J-Lo. She's great. She's wonderful.
No need to be ashamed of our bodies.
No.
Especially if you're a woman.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan went full frontal in Saltburn.
There you go. Yeah. Think about that.
You remember the name Barry Keoghan, Irish guy. He's a star.
Well, you really like your Irishmen.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like Irishmen. Well, they're great actors.
Is that right?
The best movie of last year was Banshees of Inisherin, all Irish all the time. Barry Keoghan.
I haven't watched that. I got to watch that.
Oh, you'd love it.
Especially with all the mix.
Yeah, well, but it's up here. It's very nuanced.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. I got something to do. I got to wrap up that Peaky Blinders.
Oh. They're making a movie, they say. I don't know.
Oh, is that right?
I'll believe it when I see it.
All right. I got to go because I got to pick up my son. And what are we doing? He doesn't like the simulator. And the 1-year-old likes the range.
Yeah. Well, today's a day with...
But the thing is, I can't get him off the range. And that's the thing. So I'm like, I'm comfortable taking these two to the range, but the 1-year-old won't leave. And then that's the only time I have a scene on my hands because I got a 1-year-old like pounding on me.
Right.
I don't want to leave the range. And he's hitting the ball with like, what is it? What's the name of the clubs? It's not U.S. Kids Golf. That's what like
Walter
for older
Hagen?
Kids. No. No. These are like still plastic.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So the ball is going maybe 5 yards.
Right.
So they're all right in front of him. So I really just need to get one ball and then just keep putting it back on there.
Back.
Yeah.
Save on the bucket.
Oh my God. And I'm just like, okay, then I'm going to go inside with the 6-year-old and you can stay out here and I'll keep an eye on you. But then I can imagine like the looks on the faces of people at family golf as they just walk by in there. So they're already confused by it as it is. Yeah. There's a left-handed 1-year-old banging balls. But then then there was no parents around.
Yeah. Probably not the best.
I'm going to go inside with this one who wants to play golden tee in the bar. I'm going to leave the 1-year-old out on the range.
Yeah. Just find the closest person next to you and say, hey, look after him. All right, make sure he's keeping his elbow in. We're trying to get shallow.
Eric Nickens says Irish men are built differently. Hot.
Oh, yeah.
Small penis. Small. Bald. Red.
Sean Connery, is he Irish? Was he
Scottish.
Irish? Scottish, okay.
Yeah, ladies wanted to bang him.
Big time. It was James Bond right there.
Well,
I'm trying to think of other Irish actors.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect example.
Is he from the North, though? I personally don't count the North. All due respect, of course.
From Jewish heritage, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Let's see, Jackson. Oh, he's actually born in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Get out of our land.
Yeah, never mind.
Get out of our land. Citizenship, UK, Ireland. Doesn't work that way. Especially the guy from In the Name of My Father. In the Name of the Father. I assume that's good.
In the Name of the Father. I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
Oh, you got to be horse fucking me with this goodorbad.com.
I've seen all of DDL's work since 2000.
You DDL'd it. Oh, do that on Balloon Party.
That's like a common thing. Like, that's not crazy to say DDL.
That comment from 10 to 11 in the midst of Blues penalty killing talk.
If I tell him how much I love Phantom's Thread, which is like certainly his most esoteric movie, yeah, that would go, well, I don't know, my left foot. But either way. It's not Last of the Mohicans. It's not, There Will Be Blood or Lincoln.
For fuck's sake, Jerry. Wonderful. All right, that's going to do it.
Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking pasta and Irish actors.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And I'm in a place right now. I'm vulnerable to the audience. God only knows what direction I could go. Oh, we got to tease something for tomorrow?
Actress, Saoirse Ronan. Outstanding. She's outstanding.
And she was in...
Lady Bird.
That's what it was.
Brooklyn. Little Women.
Brooklinen, where people go to shop for sheets if they're in
Right.
the New York
That's
area.
right, the only place I go.
You know, I got in our bed last night, went to bed at 9:03, as I noted earlier.
Thread count, please, on the sheets.
Oh, is that like a well thing? Is it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I go, Brooklinen sheets. Didn't know.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Wow. What a small world.
Yeah.
You don't purchase the sheets in your home? That surprises me.
I don't do much of anything. I went downstairs and I go, we got birthday stuff up. And I'm going, whose birthday is it? There's only 4 of us in here, and it isn't mine. I'm like, God, my wife, is she putting shit up for us? I go, yeah, our son, he turns 2 this weekend.
Right.
Gotta get that taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, should know that.
Right. It just surprises me that you don't purchase all of the linens inside your home.
I'm not real.
Right up your alley.
I'm not really that guy.
Okay.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah. This is news to me. This is like your thing. And like you buy the linens and then duck lip.
I am Mariano Rivera in that if you need me, I'm going to come in and we're going to wrap this motherfucker up.
Enter Sandman.
So last night, I'm already ready to go. I could have gone at 8:30, which was scary to me because I know my prostate's going to wake me at like 3, and that's going to be a problem. But the 6-year-old comes in, and I don't know. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. I'm like, okay, this shit. I'm already under my pillow. Like you sleep like your ass up.
Yeah, you sleep with a pillow over your face.
A light pillow over my face.
You sleep with
ventilation, and then I have another one like on my right side, and then I lay on like that. That's my play.
Okay.
All right, that's the move.
Pillow on the face.
On the face, on the top of my. I'm sure it's like tilted because the skull is here.
It's like a half.
Right, it's like a ramp.
Yeah.
And I hear that. I hear the door open, and usually it's good night, love you. And I'm like, this is so. And I said to my wife, I said, you know what? There's maybe another couple years of that from him.
Yeah, it's like the Waltons.
It's John Boy, and the great wheel gear topping all the cast. And I said, you're going to miss this at some point, just so you know. You know, he's going to college in 11 years.
Oh boy.
All right.
That's kind of wild.
All right. So you're going to miss this. So that's what I thought it was, which is I still appreciate. Good night, buddy. Love you. Not last night. I don't want to go to school. School's so stupid. I go, oh, fucking turn on. Oh, there's a motherfucker. Here I go. I already know. I can hear Enter Sandman. Here we go. And I can tell my wife was exhausted. She has a real sleep issue. I wish like hell. I want her to wear a Whoop because I want her to see how bad her sleep is. She goes, I already know it's terrible. And I'm like, but then we could figure out what you are doing that's making it bad, and then we can go backwards and figure it out. Yes. Yeah. But anyway, school sucks. It's so boring. And I said, all right, you got three more seconds before I'm up and I'm coming.
And this pillow comes off his head.
Absolutely, I said. And I'm looking for some ass tonight. And he doesn't move. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And he's holding on to the end of the bed. That's no match for the build like this.
Right. Slap tear or not.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I want to go. This thing is basically rendered useless on the left side. It's all right arm. Pick him up, and he's screaming, but I got a question. I got to ask the question. I have a question. I said, ask the question, boy.
This is how I start balloon party.
Holy shit. What's the question? I already know it's a delay tactic. It's a DT.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go to school? I said, so you don't end up like your father in radio.
Right. Cautionary tale.
Fuck. What else? I got to tell Mom good night. You already did that. I got to tell her good night. Fine. Delay tactic. He pops in, and then he wants to pop back in. I'm holding the door closed.
Yeah.
I just want to snort these pills I've cut up with a $100 bill and pass out, and then come in and entertain people on HD2. That's all I want to do, boy.
Yeah. You explain that to him, and he picks up on it.
Anyway, I got to go pick him up from the place he didn't want to go.
Yeah, you won that battle.
I did. Surprising. Jackson, it's been wonderful. What a treat. Time for us to go. For Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been the Tim McKernan Show from the Longo Big Studios.